Hello everybody and welcome back to the main action of the China Open, as now we finally enter the round number 2, and after a couple of very tense, nervous and dramatic deciders, now we are going to see the top 16 seeds take on a couple of qualifiers that have managed to produce some really big upsets, because of course, because of the nature of the draw, you're not really going to see a player that either didn't play well in the first round match of the top 16 or was able to come back from a very difficult position there. As for example, Yize, of course, very relevant in his case scenario, because despite not quite being able to get himself into an opening start there, losing out on the first frame, and then, it seemed like he's managed to take a very comfortable lead of 5 frames to 2, but at the end wasn't just up to speed there and wasn't able to do anything with that lead. Lost 3 frames on the bounce, and from that point onwards, he was very much down to his opponent to be the one producing and being on the front foot. And Cheng was very much coming just 1 frame away of potentially making it all the way, and potentially setting up a clash with David Gilbert as well, because when it comes down to Gilbert, he's got a reputation of being one of those players that is not necessarily in top 16 right now. In fact, is actually under threat of leaving the top 32 there as well. But I think ultimately, when it comes down to him being able to produce those type of performances where, he can easily knock out a top 16, a top 8 player, or anyone out there, but at the same time, he can be a very bad loser at the same time. But his first round match against Ding was very much brilliant. When it comes down to the last season, 36,000 points was scored by Yize. I think that's the most of anyone, apart from maybe someone like Watchalong. 13,000 there for someone like David Gilbert. And when it comes down to breaks of 50 plus, 230 there for Yize, as against 278 from David Gilbert. So when it comes down to the pure scoring point of view, you do seem like he will be coming down to Yize to be the favourite, but at the same time, we've seen Ding Junhui to be the favourite in that particular equation as well, and yet he didn't really stop David Gilbert from beating the Dragon and knocking him out once again in the first round match. So, as I said, for me, I think when a top seed like Yize is going to be able to get himself through to the next round, I think he will be very much coming down to a match like this where, he will have a boost of that mentally. I think he's, of course, I don't think he would have been playing, just giving himself to go for a rest on the last couple of days in between the first round match and the start of the second round as well. But I think, interesting thing about it is that I think if he doesn't play well today, he may well get punished there by the Angry Farmer. And it's going to be very interesting to see on what's going to happen, but at the same time, as I say, still would expect Yize to beat David Gilbert by something like 6 frames to 2. Meanwhile, on the other table, we're going to have Watchalong up against Liu Hongyu. So another couple of players that have managed to have a really good campaign in the first round. Joe managed to once again produce a bit of a comeback and knock out Mark Williams in the first round, whereas Liu Hongyu was able to hang in there against Barry Hawkins and able to win that match by 6 frames to 4 and 6 frames to 3 respectively. So, now just waiting for the players and the referees on the table 2 to be introduced, and then we're going to get ourselves started with some action there. I think Yize once again has got, a decent opportunity to try and become a better player when it comes down to the results than Zhao Xington out there, because when it comes down to defending that world title, because both of them got eliminated in the semi-finals of the Shanghai Masters this season, but last season as well. And Zhao didn't really have a great campaign when it comes down to the Saudi Masters, and then even worse of a campaign that he had at that Wuhan Open as well. So I think it will come down to whoever plays better, but I think you also have to say it's not really just about the first couple of frames. I think it will be down to, everyone said it will win, but I predict 6-4 David win, which could still happen, but I think that's a little bit bold of you to say that Yize will get 4 frames. I feel like, once again, he could be able to do that, but I think this could be one of those matches where whoever plays well is going to be able to get the win by quite a bit of a margin, and I don't really feel like you're going to be sitting here for an awful lot of time, because that match against Yao Pencheng was, well, probably one of the worst that we've seen from Yize in recent history, especially if you compare his form in Shanghai or at the Crucible. But I think it's also going to come down to the opposition, and I think that's why David needs to be very much on the front foot quite earlier on and needs to try and put himself within that window of trying to push on there and therefore making sure that Yize won't really be able to counter him with too many of those great shots. But yeah, I think the positives here, I would expect a lot of attacking battles because that was the way that Gilbert was able to win that match against Ding. Very much 6 out of 7 frames, 5 frames in a row as well. Had a very confident performance against him, but when it comes down to the way that Yize won a decider against Yao Pencheng, you probably have to put it down to a similar type of performance as well. So then, David Gilbert being aged 45, so twice as old as Yize, and the world ranking of number 32, turning pro 25 years ago when Yize wasn't even born. He's got a brilliant campaign against Ding to try and defend here, but let's see if he's going to be able to produce a similar type of performance out there as well, as we welcome the Angry Farmer onto the table number 1 and see what's going to happen in between himself and Yize. I feel like once again, it's not just down to Yize and the way that he tries to approach this match, because I think Gilbert he's still going to have a massive role to play in this one. You can see Tone Pro 2021, world ranking number 4, and aged 22, still there, being the second youngest world champion, and being the youngest world champion overseas. So then Yize makes his way towards the table, and now it will all come down to the first frame, and both of the players would like to see themselves to have a very good start to the position, and of course at the same time get themselves into a bit of a run of playing quite well and ultimately scoring better and scoring more points than their opponent to try and get the first frame on the board. Could be very, very important, especially if you feel, arguably there will be, a little bit more difficulty in between Yize and certainly Dave Gilbert out there for them to be competing in this round rather than, playing against Joey Long or Liu Hongyu in the next round. But of course, it will depend on which one of the two players from China will win that clash, as Gilbert there goes for a bit of a aggressive break-off when he comes down to the cue ball. Could have actually landed that one in behind the green, but not quite able to do that at the end. So then, the first chance is potentially going to be on the line there for Yize. Let's see if he's going to try and go for this red in towards the right corner. Or is it going to be a bit of a different story there for him? Play this shot with plenty of topspin, get that cue ball through the gap in between the black and another red. And in the end, even though he's managed to get the cue ball through the gap, and he may actually find himself to be behind the brown as well, which certainly will help his chances there. But he was unable to get that red into the corner pocket. So then, still thinking that there is going to be a chance for the red to be taken in towards the left corner. And at the same time, not sure if he wants to be playing a shot like that. May just try to get a little bit of a shot onto the left-hand side of that red. And probably pretty fortunate there that he had the green to block off the power there for the cue ball, because it did seem like the white had a little bit too much pace on it when he was approaching the green. So then, is there going to be room for a red to be taken past the green and into the left corner? Certainly the red that Yize is playing right now, and he's gone for that shot into the corner, and it's a brilliant start there when it comes to getting the red in. Let's see if he's going to be on the colour. He should be right now, as he gets a little bit of the nudge of the blue, which certainly is going to help his chances. And now it is Yize that has got himself into this position of trying to play some nice shots there as well. Looking to play the green in towards his own pocket. Careful on that, taking the pace away from the white. And just get it transition slightly there onto the bottom half of the table. And making sure now he's got a shot at the red. Playing for the black into the left corner. And at that point, it should be a straightforward position there. But he misses out on the red. So straight away, the first chance is not really going to get him too far out there. Now, the question is, can Gilbert get through to the reds past the black there? And can he go for the shot into the left corner himself? It does seem like the pockets that have been playing very generous at the starting point of the tournament have become a little bit tighter out there as the match play has gone on. But certainly, not as tight there to keep Gilbert away from a point scoring opportunity here as he gets himself into the position to try and score some good points here. Right at the start of the first frame, after Yize was just unable to do anything with it. After getting his first long red in, Gilbert seemingly looking to counter with exactly the same red and colour combination, looking to try and play the green and get the cue ball to be lined up for one of the lower reds at the bottom half of the table. Seems like he's underplayed slightly for the red in towards the right corner, but of course he's still going to have one into the left part of the table to be taken. Just not really the way that he would have liked to be on that red. He would have liked to see the cue ball to be a little bit lower altogether. And he also needs to make sure that the black actually does go in towards the right corner. Otherwise, he may have to play for the ping there as he's looking for. So clearly suggests the black is not going to be available for now. So then Gilbert with a very important shot there for him to play. Getting the cue ball with a little bit of spin there to be getting past on towards the pink here. So once again, very delicate shot there on the pace, but doesn't seem like he played it well enough. And well, I think there was way too much power on that occasion. Very straight when it comes down to just being alongside on the pink, and I don't think he's got a chance in taking the pink on there. I mean, of course, you could say that if he plays the pink and he gets it, he's certainly going to have the red to play on, but I don't think it's going to be something that he's looking for right now. But as I say, the attacking player that he is, probably going to go for the green now to be taken in towards his own pocket. Going to miss it on this occasion. Now let's see where the cue ball is actually going to finish. Barely avoids a contact on the green, but at the same time, seemingly it's not really going to leave anything away to Yize either. So then the break of 4 points for David Gilbert, and now, for Yize, and now the break of 5 points for Gilbert as well. And he was quite fortunate there not to leave a red out to his opponent, but at the same time, you still feel like that was very much down to him missing the green by such a wide margin, and the cue ball was never really going to be in the position that it was supposed to be if the previous shot came onto the plan there. But still, Gilbert looking to try and get the reds to be taken away from each other. A very careful shot when it comes down to the cue ball, but not necessarily when it comes down to the red. So now Yize will study the position, and I think he's going to be looking for that red into the right corner, even though the angle is not necessarily going to be the best possible position there for him to try and go for the red into the right corner, but still seems like it's the best thing that he's got there available to him, and therefore he probably needs to get rid of that red anyway, trying to plan the cue ball to be closer towards the left hand side of the table will certainly help. So let's see, it's taken that red perfectly well, and now he's about to get himself yet another chance of scoring some good points out there, as the position certainly has changed from his last visit to the table, with a couple of safety shots that we've seen both of the players play, and now he will be all down to the shot on the blue. And once again, as he was in the first part of his break, he was going to be looking to try and get the position on the black there. Got himself stopped one shot before that though, as he was unable to put the red before the black, but now plays a really good shot on the blue, not just getting the blue in, but getting a very key red out of the way, which is going to make the position a lot easier there when it comes down to the black, but now also making a lot more reds to be available there for Yize, as he's now looking to approach this match with the status of a clear favourite when it comes down to getting the first frame on the board. Always helps. And that's exactly something that he's going to be looking for right now. Playing the black with plenty of topspin and just trying to plan the cue ball to be on the left-hand side of another red. This time he's going to try and take that one away towards the left middle. So then still has to be very cautious when it comes down to, missing anything here, because we've seen that with Zinton seem to have cost him very dearly in the match against Geranda, but we've also seen that with Trump, just unable to get himself into that position of, scoring some good points, and both of them, of course, got punished in the end. You could probably bring Yize into the same equation there, but of course he had a 5-2 lead against Yao Pengcheng. So despite losing 3 frames in a row there, he was still able to get himself over the finish line, although that was, of course, was achieved by only making it through by the narrowest of margins and winning yet another decider there ever since that World Open campaign against Ronnie O'Sullivan. Hasn't lost a decider, but to be fair, he didn't really have to play a lot of them at the Crucible or at the start of the championship so far. Now then, looking at yet again at this cluster of 4 reds there, all next to each other, but he's just trying to probably, grade the situation of that red lowest of them all and slightly away from the pack there, but he still needs to be absolutely certain that he's got a chance of playing for that red, as well, trying to take plenty of room on the black there. So it seems like he's going to be happy with taking that red into the left corner. Let's see if he's going to be able to squeeze that one in. But alternatively, of course, he's got another couple of reds right in the same zone there, and he's decided to go for the one slightly higher than the other 3. And now he's going to be looking for a break of 31 points here, as he's still very much top side of a blue. And slowly but steadily, he's making his way through those reds here. I mean, it depends if he wants to try and stick for 4 more reds on the left-hand side of the table there, with one more being quite close towards the blackable cushion as well. But, alternatively, if he does pot those 4 reds, I think he should be able to win the frame. But at the same time, if he gets one of those reds away from the pack there, of the little cluster of the 3, it would make his life a lot easier to try and win this frame and take it away from Gilbert. But now he's probably going to be just playing the safe shot out there. Yize is going to win this match. We'll see. For now, he's still looking to be in a position of 36 points to be the lead. Now looking to try and play the blue away as well. Very careful shot on the white. And, has he done the same mistake as we've seen from Zhang Handa? He may have done that, And the blue does seem like he'll go in a place right below the cue ball, so then he's going to have himself blocked off there. So even though he was looking nicely for, the frame to be won there, it's not going to be looking too nice for him now. Snookered behind the blue. And, both Zhang and Wei just making a bit of an amateur mistake there. Just overrun slightly with the cue ball, trying to take the blue ball spot there, you would feel. But not going to work on this time around. So the break of 42 points does seem like it will be the end for Yize. So let's see if he's able to get through and pass the blue there onto those couple of reds. Doesn't really want to get too many of them in the open play, but played a really good shot there when it comes down to the position of the cue ball right below the brown, which is going to impact the ability of Gilbert to be seeing a decent opportunity there to himself, but also looking to try and play an attacking shot when he comes down to the reds at the left-hand side of the table here as well. But probably going to be forced into taking a long shot here. If he makes it, he's got a great opportunity to try and get himself into a frame-winning position. But of course, if he misses it, which he has done, that's now going to leave the frame wide open and potentially available to Yize now to try and close off away, especially with how close the red that Gilbert has missed has gone over the yellow pocket there. So I'm not necessarily frame over just yet, but he should be in a couple of shots time there, as Yize surely can't miss the red like that. Needs to be a little bit cautious on the cue ball going into the middle. I wasn't really too cautious, I have to say. Still caught the brown there, put himself under pressure here of choosing in between the yellow and the blue. Probably going to have to go for the yellow here, as he's got 42 points of lead still. Any mistake here, especially on the colour, getting through towards those reds, will be putting Gilbert with a great chance there to win the frame. And that's exactly what happened there, just undercutting the yellow slightly. Very much the result of his encounter on the previous occasion. And now Gilbert, he's going to be getting this chance here, pretty much for free there. But I did say he still needed to get on that colour, missed that right middle, which in the end he was able to accomplish one of those things, but they had to come as a bonus of the 2. And now Gilbert has got a great opportunity there, probably the best that he's going to get in the entire match there to try and win the frame, despite being 42 points down. So many reds available to him. But more importantly, all the colours are in a great position for him to try and make a total clearance and try and take it away there from someone like Yize. Going to be a little bit cautious later on in the frame though, when it comes down to the last red, which probably is going to be, hopefully for him, not the one on the black cushion, but also the positional shot on the yellow has to be played quite well, because even though the green is in a great position there, you still need to be very much right side of the yellow to be, positioned nicely for that green because of its close contact with the brown. And of course, you will still need all the ball colours, and pretty much, I would say, all the colours up towards the pink there. As he now finds himself 26 points behind. Still looking to try and play a red away into the left corner. So play the shot with plenty of backspin, just try and get that cue ball to be accelerated away. And he seems to have fixed that biggest issue for him so far quite well, in relation to that red was always going to be awkward, not in relation to potting the red, but getting back towards the black there, which he's done quite well. Just a little bit low on the black, but should be able to, not compromise himself on the reds enough there so that he's able to recover. And that's exactly what he's done. Black is comfortably in the pocket. And Gilbert is comfortably in the game here for, as I say, for him to be probably the favourite now when he comes down to this particular frame. Still looking very nicely when he comes down to be winning the first encounter, as Watchalong has already managed to make a century of 119 points out there and win the first frame against Lu Hon-yu. And he's now going to be leading by 1-0. Gilbert, meanwhile, just losing, I wouldn't say losing a touch there, but not necessarily getting himself in the perfect position there, because I still think he needs to take that red probably with the blue to try and get himself up the table with no further complications, as he now takes the pace away from the pink. Well, once again, could have been better when he comes down to the angle that he's got on the red. He should be able to hold the white for the blue there, but of course, alternatively, depending on what the position is going to be with the brown and green, you can try and play one of them away, free up the second colour of the two, and at the same time, of course, make it a very comfortable shot for him indeed. Well, not quite as comfortable as it could have been, but you still feel like getting the brown away from the green, which is clearly going to be something that Gilbert is going to play for right now, will certainly help him in his pursuit of a frame-winning opportunity because of how close the yellow has been left over the pocket there. So it's a massive shot now for Gilbert, and getting himself on the left-hand side of the yellow will certainly help, as he now has got a little look to see what's going to happen at the scoreboard. And he looks a lot better than he was a couple of shots ago there, but he will need the brown and blue. And if he gets those two, I think he might just be in the position to have no further problems on the pink. Although, of course, we've seen plenty of opportunities in the previous matches. Can Gilbert win? Well, I mean, certainly can in this frame. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't win, but at the same time, the match is not really going to be open at this end of the table. Although the frame might be. As now Gilbert is getting himself through towards the finish line here and trying to go for a shot on the green in towards the left middle and trying to get that cue ball away and in behind of the brown. So this is probably going to be the last shot, which will put him under any sort of pressure there, and just position himself nicely for the blue, and then he should be able to win the frame with the pink. And a nice little clearance as well at the end if he gets the brown in. Needs that cue ball to keep on running. It's going to be a little bit low on the pace, but in the end, no, it's actually going to be absolutely perfect on the pace. Just seemed like Gilbert took a little bit much juice away from that, but still plays a nice shot on the blue and now leaves himself with plenty of ground to recover now on the pink, which we've seen go wrong there on a couple of previous instances, but shouldn't be a problem this time around. For Gilbert there, he's used to a lot tougher conditions when he comes down to the actual table, and now he will be all down to a break of 56 points there from David Gilbert, which would win him the first frame and get himself 1-0 of a lead there against Yize. So straight away, despite Wu being the favourite to win that first encounter, in the end it is going to be Gilbert that has managed to win that frame against the world champion of 2026, and now it will all come down to a decent opportunity here for someone like Yize to try and get himself back in the match here and very much back in contention, because for now, it doesn't seem like Gilbert is here to play games there. It seems like he's genuinely going to be quite a massive threat there when it comes down to being on the front foot in the first frame. Didn't really help Yize, and of course that's probably the only way that he should be able to win those frames. Even though of course he's capable of coming back from being a handful of points down, but The bottom line was it wasn't quite good enough, and that miss on the yellow was always going to cost him very dearly, and in the end it seems to have cost him the frame there because he didn't get a shot ever since that point of missing that yellow into its own pocket, as Watchalong gets himself an early point of a lead in the second frame as well. So it does seem like another player from China is going quite nicely along there. Of course, Watchalong and Yize could still meet in the next round, but going to have to wait and see if that's actually going to be the case, because Joe seems to be one of the most dark horse players out there when it comes down to, his ranking. But ultimately, the way that he's been able to defeat the likes of Williams and defeat the likes of, he wasn't quite able to win this match against Murphy, but of course he was still very much able to defeat Mark Selby in the decider. As Liu Yu there just playing a very careful shot, which didn't really seem to go to plan there, missing out on the red contact in total. So now he'll be very much back down to Joe to get himself back in the action there. And meanwhile, we're going to get the first frame to be put over and done with there, hopefully for Yize. But ultimately, the second frame is now about to begin. And we're going to see on just what Yize and David Gilbert are going to be capable of. So then let's see what's going to happen there. For now, the second frame is about to get started there by Yize, as he's now looking to try and break free there when he comes down to, getting himself on the score sheet, and losing out the first frame against the Alpen Cheng didn't seem to cost him that dearly. But of course, Gilbert is going to be a lot more experienced and probably a lot better when it comes down to the level of the opposition player. And now still looking to try and make it a good shot on the cue ball through the right side cushion. After a decent break-off shot there, Gilbert just needs to make sure he judged the power well, which he didn't judge perfectly well, but still going to be good enough for him not to leave a chance away. And now Yize just going to be thinking about the way for him to get the cue ball back towards the top part of the table and trying to use the right side cushion as well. But it seems like he's going to be low on the pace on this occasion and potentially could leave a long shot away there to Gilbert. So using that shot advantage, not necessarily to his benefit out there. So still a chance for Gilbert to try and get himself into another opportunity here. He's had two of those in the previous frame. Let's see if he's going to get the first one here. He will, with a brilliant long ray that he's taken. Let's see what the cue ball's going to finish out there. Doesn't quite want it to be on the side cushion, but he will be. So still has to judge the positional shot now quite nicely indeed for him when it comes down to the next red that he's going to be aiming for. So still some work here to do before Gilbert is actually going to get himself into a frame-winning position. Well, seems like he's going to be a little bit low on the pace, but just about far enough there that the cue ball is going to travel so that he's going to be able to see the red on the left corner to be taken here. And now an opportunity for Gilbert to go for the shot of the red in towards the left corner, and now play slightly closer towards the black. So let's see if he's going to try and split the reds away from each other straight away. Playing the shot with plenty of topspin, just trying to, disrupt the reds away from each other. And, that didn't really work. He missed the black there, so maybe there was a little bit of a twitch at the end. But whatever it was, just like it was in the previous frame, he doesn't really leave anything away to Yize on this occasion. But, the question is, why did he have to leave a chance like that? Come begging for him, because only 7 points is not really going to be good enough there on this occasion. But still, as I say, seeing the benefit of not leaving a chance away to Yize and Wu not playing a great shot again when it comes down to the safety. Catching the yellow full ball on this occasion. And now, even though it's not going to be a straightforward long shot that you can pick out there for Gilbert, but you still feel like he's going to be very much looking to play one of those reds towards the right corner, as he's looking for potentially one of them. We didn't really want to catch the second red away there with a double kiss. And, he is going to apologise, because I think he was quite fortunate there with the cue ball getting far away to the top side of the table there. But the question is, can Yize go for any one of those reds into the left corner? Doesn't really seem like he's focused on that too much right now, although he may feel like he's getting forced into this shot there as well. It's a massive one for him. can't really allow Gilbert to be the one getting away with 2 frames of the advantage. And for now, we're getting a little bit closer to that, and he misses another red. And let's see, there is going to be a little bit of chaos when it comes down to the right-hand side of the table, but ultimately, can Gilbert get through to the red over the right corner, which has been very kindly left there from Yize? And the answer is he can't, which makes it a lot more interesting when it comes down to what is he going to have to do here. Yeah, he's got a massive blockade of reds in the main part of that red, so I mean, he may have to just play a safety shot with still a very genuine attempt of playing the red there into the right corner with a plant. So let's see if this is going to work out, and seemingly he didn't. So then just unable to get a really good purchase on that red. But as I said, playing a safety shot seemed to have worked out pretty well for him here as well, because I don't think Yize is going to be able to see that red himself. So let's see what his plan is going to be. Because the red now has gone slightly further away from the pocket. And, I mean, you could always just try and play the red, which is closest to the blue there, with a straight line to the cue ball, into the path of the other red. But it seems like he's got something better planned for us. Surely he's not just going to try and play this as a straightforward safety shot. Well, we did. And let's see where the cue ball's going to finish. Don't think he's going to finish in a bad position, to be fair. I think the yellow may just be the cover point when it comes down to those reds on the right-hand side of the table. So it's a really nice shot there that Yize has found. And the question is he going to be good enough to keep Gilbert quiet here? Well, he should be when it comes down to the left-hand side of the table. Whether he's still able to go for one of those 2 reds on the right part of the table here, we'll have to wait and see. But certainly not going to be quite as easy, especially from the cue ball, to be pretty much alongside those 2 reds, but also being so close when it comes down to the ball cushion of the table. But whatever it is, by the way, Watchalong is absolutely on fire there. He's got a break of 81 points, and he's just about to win the second frame against Liu Honyu. So it does seem like he got himself into that momentum of trying to score big at the opening part of the frame. And now Gilbert himself looking to respond with a good safety, but he needs that cue ball to keep on running for him to block off the path for the reds in towards the right corner here. And let's see if he has done that. It seems so, with acknowledgement there from Yize on the shot that he's played. So let's see on what's going to happen here. I mean, the problem is, even if you can see that red on the right hand side, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to sort of get anywhere with that, because I think the 2 reds might just start to get in the way of each other slightly, especially the lower red getting in the way of the red slightly higher than it. But Yize seems to have found an answer, for him at least, of playing a shot in towards the right corner. But, well, he's going to get the cue ball completely out of shape. But the question is that going to be good enough of an invitation for Gilbert to go for a shot like that? Because, once again, as I say, it's going to be very difficult for him to judge for the higher red to go past the lower one and into the right corner. So still seems like he's going to be quite positive with in relation to taking that shot on there. He rarely refuses an opportunity like this, but, well, it's very, very tight. And I'm not even sure there is going to be a gap for the red to go into the corner pocket without touching either side cushion or actually making contact with the red, which is going to be slightly lower than the one he's certainly going to be playing for right now, because he can't see the lower red because of a plant getting in the way. So let's see if he's actually going to go for a plant itself. Is it going to be a bit of chaos? Well, he clearly thinks against it. At the end of it all, it's just not really worth the risk there for Gilbert, he feels. And he's just going to have to play a safety shot of some sort. But, of course, the alternative ain't going to be great for him, because Yize is still going to have a little chance to go for a plant of the reds into the right corner. He's going to have a little check to see what's happening with that red, and into the right corner potentially can he go. But I still think he's going to have to come to the same conclusion as Gilbert had to make. And it'll be very much down to a shot on the right-hand side of the table there to potentially be played when it comes down to the red very much below the pink spot, probably taken towards the right corner. Whether he's going to meet another raid on its way, we'll see. So it did. And now this is where it gets really interesting. Where's the cue ball going to finish? And it will finish in behind the green there when he comes down to all the dangerous reds away. So it does seem like it's going to get more and more interesting. Just how much of the right-hand side of the table can Gilbert actually see out there? Well, he can see plenty of it, but I mean, the question is, what can he actually achieve there by seeing so many of those reds to be in the way of each other? He's got one red to be played for a safety shot, which of course, if he plays this safety shot well, potentially a luxury that Yize won't have. And that's clearly the mindset that he's taken into approach to the shot. Play the safety well. You may not leave a chance away to your opponent, but, well, whatever he had to do, he certainly didn't really have an option of missing the red altogether. Giving 4 points away is not really going to be a massive issue, but at the same time, the issue of not having a chance of, playing that safety shot altogether may still prove to be a very costly thing there. And now, Yize is looking for that red to be taken past the right side cushion, potentially into that plant of 2 reds, which he feels like it'll be more difficult for him to miss than it is to pot there. But, Gilbert was trying to play the long game. Let's see on what the decision is going to be. And the decision is going to be to put the Gilberts into the position which he had previously. So, Yize clearly feels like Gilbert is not going to be able to make this safety shot stick, which is a risk there for him, because if he does, I think Yize is going to be the player under pressure, and therefore just finding himself in that position where he's not really going to be happy with it. Gilbert seems like he's going to be content with the position of the cue ball now, though, on the respot. Can he see enough of that red for him to try and take the cue ball away? He can't really afford a miss on this time of asking, and he didn't. He played a really good shot there to get the contact of the red. And now, well, this is where I thought the decision was wrong there. And even without the cue ball sticking towards the black there, it was always going to be a very tight shot for Yize to play. But now, well, he's certainly going to be under all sorts of pressure here. Making the wrong decision to make on the previous time of asking. Putting Gilbert into the previous shot there was always going to be a recipe for disaster, because, listen, if he makes a mistake on the second shot there, he's still probably likely to hit a red, so he's not going to lose the frame. So, and an opportunity that he had of playing the red on the left-hand side of the table there, taking it towards the right corner, would have been a lot better than the position that he does find himself at right now, having to play a shot from the side cushion, which is not going to be an easy thing to do at all. Now let's see where the cue ball is going to finish, because it seemed like a nice line, but the bottom line is, I should say, is that going to be good enough to keep Gilbert away there when it comes down to scoring some good points off the break? And with the body language and certainly the gestures that he's showing to the cue, it doesn't seem to be the case. But the question, of course, for Gilbert is that getting the reds should be simple enough for him. How about getting onto the collar? So let's see what's going to happen with those reds. He's trying to play a 4 shot. Didn't really see if one of the reds gone in. Well, I don't think it has. Well, I mean, that was a waste of a chance from Gilbert, because I don't really understand what he was trying to achieve there. Yeah, well, he should do better. I mean, he was playing the plant into the right corner, and he should have certainly done better on that occasion. The bottom line is, once again, Yize is not going to have an easy chance to him. And what can he do with this red into the right corner? How much of the pocket has he actually got available to him? Well, does he have to just approach the shot as he was a normal long shot into the corner? But of course, once again, the mitigating circumstances are going to be very much against him if he does go on to miss that red into the right corner. And therefore, he needs to make sure he's still going to be lining himself up for a good shot into the corner. Now then, of course, he can always go for a safety, but it seems like it's something that he's considering right now. I'm just not sure how far can he actually get away with that safety in relation to, what's going to be the result that he's looking for. Well, it wasn't quite the safety that was looking. And if the cue ball just avoids that green pocket, which it won't, it seemed like it will, but in the end it is going to be a ball in hand. And Yize just doesn't seem to be getting any luck at all. Gilbert missing out on all those opportunities, but still not giving a good chance away to Wu. And now, of course, the cue ball would have been in a perfect position there for Yize when he comes down to, being close towards the green pocket. But now it's a ball in hands, and it's a chance for Gilbert to try and make things right there for himself. With still one more red to be very close towards the right corner. Let's see on what is he going to be able to achieve on that particular occasion. Still doesn't seem like he's too confident with where to put the white in relation to he's put it on the left hand side of the brown, he put it close to the brown on the right hand side, and now he's put it very close towards the green as well. Now the red was always going to be in there, apart from a massive mistake. The question is, how's the position on the collar going to be looking for him? And the bottom line is, not great when he comes down to the green, but he may still be good enough there for him to take the brown away and get the cue ball just slightly lower than the center of the table. Let's see if he's able to take the brown away. He is. And now let's see on what we're going to be looking at from the point of view of the position. So 5 points of a break here. And now looking for the reds to be taken in towards the right middle. Play the shot with a little bit of backspin on the cue ball. And probably just look at an opportunity of scoring some good points there, of probably unlikely to win the frame at the current visit to the table, but you never know. If he gets a good contact point with the main bunch of the reds, he's always got a chance, and it could be something that he's playing for right now. Trying to take the pink away. Now let's see where the cue ball is going to get stuck in between the reds, and well, not quite, but seemingly he's played a pretty good shot there. Getting at least 2 more reds into the open play there to add to 19 points of the advantage that he has got over Yize here. And still looking at an opportunity to be taking this red away into the left corner. It's not going to be an easy mission for him to achieve, but the bonus should be the factor in playing the cue ball away from the red. And probably playing for the bold colours right now. So still would like this red to be disappearing, and he won't be. So it's a mistake from Gilbert. And this time around, he's certainly going to have a good opportunity there given away to Yize. So now 12 points of a lead here after the break. And, well, we're going to have a look at what's going to happen with the reds. Taken from Yize's point of view, he's taken that red really well. But, of course, the bottom line is, how many more reds is he going to be able to take there? He's still going to be top side of a blue. He's got one more red for him to try and make his way through when he comes down to the lower end of the table. But I think he's going to struggle beyond that point to score some good points out there for him. As he's now looking for yet another red to be taken in towards the left part of the table here. And still looking for a chance of getting that cue ball quite close towards the pink. And just ultimately playing a good shot there of the cue ball in behind the reds. And being topside quite nicely there off the blue. Very important shot there, of course. I felt like he was playing for the contact to be made in between the cue ball and the reds, but I think he'll still take a nice little position here on the blue. And a chance to recover from not really seeing any of those reds to be available to him. Could always try and split the reds away from each other. An alternative could be, pretty nice for him as well. Not sure what he was trying to achieve there, though. I mean, yeah, absolutely not sure. I mean, he played that blue with very little power. Just trying to get in the middle of the reds there, but unless you talk about a shot into the green pocket, he's got absolutely nothing there. And, well, that shot is going to be way too close when he comes down to the side cushion here. I mean, the alternative, of course, the way for you to look at it is that it's 7 points in here. And, I mean, the only red that is realistically going to give away, probably going to be the one that he's playing for, but still, very weird positional shot that he's played for right now. And now let's see. I think Gilbert is just going to be just about as interested as we all are. But I'll tell you what, it's a brilliant recovery shot. He may only get him 7 more points, because even though he played that red superbly well, as I say, that was the only red of having any risk to give away there to Gilbert. But the bottom line is, he's not perfectly lined up for the pink, and ultimately, he is the wrong side of it for him to try and make, any progress for the reds. Unless he's going to try and play a very aggressive shot into the path of the reds, but going to have to sacrifice the positional and the potting angle on the pink as well. So they're not sure what he was doing there. Maybe it's still going to be a little double for him to try and keep himself on the break. But 23 plays 23 there for the second frame. Well, let's see what's going to happen here then. Is it going to be a double that he's looking to play for? And, well, he's not going to be anywhere near that double. The cue ball got a contact on another red. So let's see if he was actually playing for the lowest of the reds. And very much being aware of that so that he can give a chance away to Gilbert. But it seems like there probably is going to be unlikely. I think the top red of the two might just get involved there with the plant. So that Gilbert is not going to have a chance of playing the lowest of the reds into the right corner, because that would have been quite a mistake there for Yize to make. But alternatively, being very much aware that that's the only red that he can give away, he went for that double. He didn't get too close on it though, as now Gilbert is looking to try and play a decent enough safety of his own. And yeah, of course, it's going to be very interesting to see on if the next chance that either of the players are going to see is going to win in the frame. Probably unlikely, I would say, because there's 23 points each. And at the same time, well, this is going to be a red very close towards the left middle. Well, this could be the chance that I was talking about. But ultimately, what can Gilbert do when he comes down to the other reds there? 91 points at the table. And he's got a really good chance of potting the red there in towards the right middle. Getting that cue ball into the reds could be one reality for him, and that's what he's tried. He's always going to be under threat of sacrificing a position on the colour, but seemingly he was happy enough to do it. He got one red to be in the open plate for him, but the bottom line is just what can he actually manage when he comes down to the other couple of reds that he's going to have to make his way through. Still looking very nervously when he comes down to trying to win the frame in the current position, and still looking for the red to be taken in towards the left corner here as well. Yeah, it just seems like he's going to have to make this red into the left corner, obviously, but at the same time, he's going to have to make a little bit more dent in the back of those 6 reds at the right-hand side of the table. So they're still playing for a very careful shot there and looking to get the cue ball away from the blue. And, well, let's see if he's overplayed for this one, though, because it seems like he is going to have the angle on the blue. But alternatively, it's going to be very difficult for him to try and play this shot with just about enough topspin so that the cue ball is going to go bouncing away from the black ball cushion, have plenty of power to try and get into the reds, and that's exactly what happened there. I think he tried to go for control rather than power after what happened in the previous shot that he's tried to make some advantage of those reds, but I think it's not really worked out for him on this occasion, and I think he will be very much coming down to another safety battle to be seen, and yet again, it will be all down to David Gilbert to have a lead here in the second frame, and ultimately, just looking at the chance here, not to be given away to Yize, which I don't think he's done a too good of a job at, because now I think there is going to be a point where Yize might just be looking to try and go for the reds into the right corner, therefore get the cue ball to be away and into the left part of the table, where he's hopefully for him going to be met by plenty of colours for him to choose from, as he now got that red perfectly well. But is he going to be on the colour? Well, he might be into the middle. It's very unlikely to have the brown available to him into the green pocket now, but he may just be available. When is Ronnie playing Saihan? Well, he's going to be playing him later on today in the afternoon in Europe, and he will be very much down to evening here in China. So he needs that cue ball to miss the contact point on the blue, and I'm not sure he's done that enough there. So once again, yet another opportunity. He's seemingly going to come to waste there, it would seem, because, I mean, Yize can always try and cut this red into the left corner, but the bottom line is those shots very rarely go in. And despite the pockets probably being quite generous there, when it comes down to the front jaw, I think they've been very, very harsh on the players when it comes down to the shots on the side cushions. And that's exactly the type of a shot that Yize is going to have to play here if he wants to try and continue the break. I mean, alternative being taking the plant on, but surely that's one shot too many for you. I mean, he was very much famous for pulling out shots like that when he comes down to the Crucible, and he's going to be famous for it yet again here. A brilliant shot, really nicely taken, and he's still going to be very much with a good chance of trying to make that red to go all the way here. When he comes down to the position of the cue ball as well, he's got a really good opportunity to try and get a couple of more reds into the pockets. Of course, that would put him to be the leading player of the two, but still going to have a massive issue of 2 more reds that he's going to have to try and make his way through when these two are going to be positioning themselves onto the right side cushion out there. As we now look to see what's going to happen with the reds at the right part of the table. So 3 points in it. Yize is still seemingly finding himself on the back foot, but hopefully for him it's not going to be lasting for a long time. Now they're getting that cue ball to be just about wrong side of a blue, which probably will force him to be taking the pink on here in towards the right corner. And ultimately a little bit of backspin there to be added on towards the pink. Play that cue ball across the table. Needs plenty of spin to be kicking in there. And he has done so to a decent extent. Don't think he's done that as well as he could have. But at the same time, it's now 4 points of a lead. And there is going to be a point where, he's hopefully going to be top side of a blue right now, trying to hold the cue ball. But, well, tell you what, it certainly had to use plenty of that pocket. It did seem like the red was just going to be staying out of the table. And now the question is, do you play the percentage shot there? And do you try and get the cue ball to be snookered now in behind any one of those colours? Or do you still believe that you are going to be able to make some dent in those 2 reds? Play them away from each other and ultimately get yourself within a good enough window of trying to play the brown away towards the yellow pocket. Well, he seemed like he's going to be targeting his attention on towards the green, which probably does suggest that he's going to be looking to try and put that one away. But, ultimately not too sure on... the line clearly is going to be ball cushion, left side. Potentially could bring their black ball cushion into equation as well, but it's a massive shot for him to be taking on there. And just like it was on the yellow, on the previous frame, it could be the one that cost him dearly. And in the end, he is able to pot the green, but he's not going to be able to make any progress with those 2 reds. So then, 8 points of a lead. And now just looking to try and get himself through a chance here of once again getting an opportunity through any one of those 2 reds. I'm going to have to wait and see what happens here though, as he's now looking to play the reds away from each other. Probably looking for the one slightly lower than the 2 to be put alongside the other one and just get the cue ball as far away as possible and hopefully for him in behind the green. He won't be in behind the green. He will be, well, just slightly off there of being right below the green as well. So now there is going to be a break of 20 points there, just once again. Probably down to the position, not to be in perfect condition there, it would seem. But at the same time, still, we're not really seeing those high-value breaks there from either Yize or David Gilbert. As we're now seeing Gilbert to evaluate on what's going to be happening with those 2 reds, because he can play the shot into the top one of them on towards the right side rail and just get the cue ball away from the danger area, but he decided to go for an alternative shot there, which is a little bit risky to play, and that's exactly why he may have left the chance away for the red to be taken into the left middle, which, that probably was 1 in 100 there for that to happen, but once again, he should have done better to make sure there wasn't an opportunity like that, because still, at this stage, he will be down to Yize to be certainly putting himself on the front foot. Now, has he got that red into the corner? No, he hasn't. He got the other red to be available, but now the bottom line is, has he cleared the path for Gilbert, just like it was in the previous frame, for him to win this frame away and take it with a 2-0 lead there up against his opponent? Well, now we're about to find the answer for that, because Gilbert is now going to find himself potting the first red. I think the second red is just going to be close enough to the yellow pocket for it to be potable and in a great condition for him as well. A good safety will be better than a risky shot. Well, Yize clearly thought better of it, and even though he wasn't a great safety from Gilbert, it clearly was good enough to keep him away there when he comes down to a decent opportunity now that Gilbert is going to have ahead of himself. It's a massive opportunity for him to try and utilise, but at the same time, it would also be down to trying to sort out the issue with the yellow. He may try, which I think is going to be a little bit risky. He may try to play for the yellow and black right now and just get both of these colours out of the way. But alternatively, he doesn't really need the black there to be taken. So let's see what the decision is going to be made here. you're probably going to have to go for the yellow now twice in relation to, even though he's playing for the black in towards the green pocket, he doesn't really have a chance of, playing the black and still being nicely lined up for the yellow. So then he needs to pop the yellow twice right now. The first shot is going to be more difficult than the second one. And he's just about going to drop in there. So now the path is clear for Gilbert to try and take the yellow away for the second time in towards the right middle. And put himself with a 2-0 of the advantage here when he comes down to an opportunity to be given away here to Yize. Well, didn't really cost him too dearly. And in fact, he may have actually won him the frame yet again out there. First frame was down to the yellow to be missed from Yize. Now, it's seemingly he's going to be down to a red that he missed in towards the left middle. And now Gilbert is going to be here to pick up the pieces there, seemingly. He only needs the brown and then the blue. And then he's going to be guaranteeing himself a respot. And then the pink, just like it was in the previous frame, would make sure that there is not going to be a chance for Yize to get himself back into the action. And he's going to have to try and deal with 2-0 of a difference in between himself and his opponent. There's now Gilbert there just playing with a little bit of extra power there just to make sure he is going to get past the position of the pink. But as I say, it's now going to be 15 points that he's clear in relation to just 13 at the table. And he will be all down to a shot that he's played quite well and a break that he's been able to tackle quite well as well. It's a break of 29 points out there that does get David Gilbert a 2-0 lead there against Yize. And whilst Watchalong seems to be absolutely at ease there when it comes down his match with Liu Hongyu, although Liu may be able to stick his nose there in the third frame and get himself with just one frame of a difference. It is now David Gilbert that he's going to be the favourite in this particular match, as we see Yize to have lost out on the position slightly, and now Gilbert is the one that you would expect to see playing against Noponsikam or Ronnie O'Sullivan. But whether that's going to be the case or not, we're going to have to wait and see. Plenty more frames for us to see the action of, but I think ultimately there will be an opportunity for Yize to counter that performance from Gilbert if he's finally able to get himself a little bit of clear air, finally able to get a good position that, on his point of view, he's actually going to be able to take it away from the opposition player. As for now, we see Liu Hongyu there being 11 points down and seemingly now having a 6-color clearance up ahead of him, which of course would win in the frame and put him just one frame behind there of Watchalong. But still, we've seen 55 minutes there that we needed for the first couple of frames to get over the finish line. But at the same time, I think it would probably be down to a decent opportunity for Gilbert to try and win at least one of those frames before the intermission, because if he does that, all of a sudden you feel like mentally he's going to be halfway there. And also when it comes down to him playing better than Yize, I think that's probably something which is difficult to dispute. I think he does find himself in a bit of a struggle sometimes and ultimately when he does miss those shots, I think he's been quite fortunate not to give too many of them away. But at the same time, he didn't really force Yize to be taking that yellow in the first frame. And he certainly, was the player to give a chance away for Yize to be taking a shot off the red into the left middle. And listen, if he makes either one of those reds or yellows, then he probably wins that particular frame. But the bottom line was he didn't. And now Liu Hongyu is about to get himself lined up for the frame ball on the pink, which will take him very much down to a 2-1 of a deficit. And we're ready to get the third frame underway with Gilbert there just having a bit of a conversation, which you can see with the face reaction. He's not really too happy with the outcome, with what the referee had to say to him, probably saying that, the crowd are getting a little bit loud and the referee just saying, well, that's the way that it's been. Not the answer that Gilbert wants to see there, but certainly the scoreline that you would be very happy of seeing out there. 2-0 and a brilliant break-off as well, forcing Yize to play the shot onto the side cushion first, which is not the easiest thing for him to achieve, especially if he catches the ping like he's done. So it's going to be 6 points to be given away there to David Gilbert. No pain, no gain, but 99 out of 100, it's fatal. We need to grind out frames like Selby. I think, how many hours from now? It should be around 3.5. Should be around 3.5 out there, but no, it should be 4.5 actually, as it's 8 o'clock in the UK here. So, a chance for the red to be taken in towards the right corner Is that going to be a chance that Gilbert feels like he's going to fancy his chances for? Well, I mean, Yize has managed to make it work for himself, and now David Gilbert is going to punish that mistake from Yize, which seemed like, he was going to be just down to the points that he's going to give away. But at the same time, it's now also going to be an opportunity that he leaves away to Gilbert, and ultimately looking to try and take the black away in towards the left corner, play the cue ball on towards the reds, spread them out away from each other quite nicely indeed, and now get himself 14 points of a lead, looking still to try and take the red away towards the left corner, and seemingly looking forward to be taking the black there for a couple of more reds, which he's got available to him. So once again, it's going to be interesting to be watching Gilbert here, because we didn't really see, the first chances were framed to be the fatal one, but we'll see if that's going to be the case now. 22 points of a lead, still at least 4 reds that he feels like he's got available to him, which will get him nicely lined up for a potential for a 50 points of a lead if he takes those reds consecutively with the expensive value colours. 5 hours, well, yeah, it should be 4.5, but they should start at 12:30 in the UK. So let's see on when this match is going to finish. And Yize is now just getting himself a nice little trip back to his seat there, because, well, it doesn't seem like Gilbert is going to be looking to try and give an opportunity away. But now, tell you what, you might have to find a bit of a good shot here to keep the break going, although he seems like he's just about happy with the way the cue ball has landed on the red into the left corner. Though, doesn't seem to be happy from this angle. He tried to play the cue ball into the red straight away there. Old school shot there, if you like. Not thinking about taking loose reds away first, but, well, I mean, an opportunity is going to be there to be taken from Yize, if, of course, the red into the right part of the table. He's going to come on missing there from Gilbert's point of view. Let's see if that's going to be the case, though, because there is certainly a chance for the cue ball to travel all the way towards the blue, and needs to be careful so that he's not going to be traveling too close towards the left middle. But at the end of it, he will be on the wrong side of a blue, but still with a really good chance of playing the shot away when he comes down to the next red to be available, either into the left part of the table or into the right there, as he certainly left himself with plenty of reds available when he comes down the position from now, but just needs to be a little bit cautious that he won't bring the blue into the play there, which I feel like he's just about managed to carry the cue ball far enough ahead there, so that the blue is not going to be having any sort of impact for him, especially since he's going to be looking for a straight line shot there to be taken in towards the right corner, rather than trying to, make it a little bit easier on the positional play. But at this time of asking, he's now able to find himself to be nicely positioned for the pink in towards the right part of the table. And, after the previous frame seemed to be a bit of a struggle there, just proved that sometimes it was very important for a frame like that to be won. But now there is going to be a pink to be taken here in towards the right corner. The cue ball going to be slightly further away from the pink. And now there is going to be an opportunity for 35 points of a lead. And I think he's only going to have one red to choose from. Just has to be a little bit cautious that he doesn't touch the red closer to the black ball cushion right now. And I think he's going to be probably trying to play that shot around the black there, which he's got the perfect result for. So there are 42 points of a lead and 36 points of a break. The next black to be disappearing will be better than anything that Yize has managed to achieve so far in those 3 frames. And now Gilbert certainly seems to be putting himself a lot closer towards the finish line there. When he comes down to winning 3 frames, it's going to be a great milestone, especially since he's able to win those back-to-back there as well. And, looking at the position of the pink, and also just, looking at the next couple of reds that he's going to be looking to play there, could easily kill the frame off now in the current visit to the table, making the most out of the loose reds at the beginning of it, but ultimately deciding to go for a split of the pack quite early, having to play 1 extra red. That wasn't easy for him. And now 57 points of a lead, 51 at the break there as well. So yet another break of 50 plus points there for Gilbert, as he now plays a careful shot on the black there, just guiding that one in towards the left corner. Doesn't want to be too straight on the red though, because that would potentially make the life a little bit more difficult for him. And he's still needing a couple of reds there to be taken, but he does have the angle to play the cue ball away there from the black ball cushion, and now seemingly lined up for a shot which will be the one before the frame ball. He's going to have 72 points of the lead, which of course doesn't mean that he's going for a maximum. It means that 6 points of the advantage is going to be very healthy for him. And just one mistake there from Yize, he's going to be the one that costs him everything here, it would seem. As David Gilbert is now lined up for the reds to be taken into the left part of the table, playing that shot carefully well, and still looking to get that pink towards the left corner and positioning that cue ball to be lined up for the left-hand side of the table there. So could we see a nice little century break there? Because, well, I think it will come down to Yize just not making the most out of some of the frames that we've seen him lose. I think now, probably unlikely to see a century break, as Gilbert was trying to make another raid to go into the open play there for him, but at the end of 74 points of a break is not going to be a shabby result for him either. Looking to try and cut the pink into the corner, and once again, just unmissable there it would seem. Cannot make a mistake there, but Yize will be certainly looking for that frame as the one that he must win in relation to that fourth visit to the table. And yeah, I mean, he didn't get a chance away in this frame, but you can't really hope that you're going to be getting one every single frame there. Gilbert certainly didn't have to hope for that too much because, you know, apart from this being the only chance that he's had in this frame, he's had plenty of opportunities in the previous two, and now he's got a chance to make it a 3-digit of a break there. The red not being perfectly lined up for the cushion, but that doesn't really stop Gilbert from making any sort of a mistake. And now the next red and black combination should see him making a century break, as he now trying to play a positional shot for the red onto the side rail. And these type of shots have been pretty generous there when it comes down to the way that the players have been playing them so far. Let's see if that's going to be another case scenario here. And he will be, so he does seem like he will make a century break. Something like waiting to happen. A break of 95 points right now. Make it a break of 102 points here. As he does make it a break of a century for David Gilbert. And it does seem like he's been able to pick up the pieces quite nicely as he gets a double in as well into the right middle. Let's see if he's going to be able to stop the cue ball before he goes over the point of the yellow, brown and the other ball colours. So then just looking for a choice of a shot that he's played. And Gilbert is on fire today. Actually, most of them are almost equally good there. Well, I don't think that's a clear assessment there. I think Gilbert has been a little bit of a head-to-head there when it comes down to the performance that he's had against Yize. But I think ultimately going to put it down to multiple factors. And I also think it is down to winning the frame at a very key moment for him. At the first and the second encounter was equally as important as making a century now. Because, of course, he would absolutely cement him as being the favourite for the frame. Being the favourite for the match, I should say. But does it not put him as a bit of a favourite for the next frame as well? Yize does need that frame quite badly. And now he's going to find himself in a position where taking the brown away into the yellow pocket should certainly see the cue ball to be travelling towards the blue. And now still looking to try and make it down to a shot on the pink to be taken away. So a total clearance, which didn't seem possible there when Yize played that defensive safety shot on trying to miss the contact on the pink, but it's still going to be a very healthy break indeed of 132 points. If the black, for the first time in the match, the final black is going to find his way on towards the pocket there, and it's a brilliant century from the Hungry farmer that does put himself to be in a very happy mood indeed. And Yize, well, he's going to have to do a Janganda there, it would seem. He finds himself 3-0 down. And, well, Watchalong is now going to find himself 3-1 of a lead there, up against Lee Hon-yu. But alternatively, of course, Yize seemingly was the favourite before the start of the match. But in something of a state is that he's probably not going to stay with him until at least frame number 6, he would have to say. Because even if he wins the frame number 4 and 5, which is a huge milestone for him to achieve, he's still going to have to try and battle really hard for that frame number 6 to be very much with him as well. One mistake is all it takes, considering how equally good they all are. Yeah, but I think it's all down to the form. And I think the form, you have to say, is down with Gilbert here. I think that was probably the only thing that was going to stop Yize from winning this match there, just because when you look at the way that this match has been going through so far, I think you have to absolutely say, it's been down to Yize not having a great performance in the first round, but ultimately, you could wonder why Gilbert was able to beat Ding so comfortably indeed, and I think that's your answer. Playing well when it comes down to getting those opportunities, and not necessarily playing too well when it comes down to every single one of his chances, but I still think it was very much down to a decent enough opportunity, which he wasn't quite able to take, and, the bottom line is that's exactly the reason why he now finds himself to be out of the picture here when it comes down to being, in a competitive match there. He's going to have to try and come back until that point first, but let's see if that's going to be very much the case there, because we're still finding ourselves in a position where David Gilbert is going to lead Yize no matter what happens at the 4th frame. But I still think he's going to be very much looking to try and put that pressure away onto Yize here in the frame number 4, because if he does get another frame on the board, you feel like 4-0, you're not really going to be able to recover from, and that's exactly something that he needs to be cautious about it, as we're still waiting for Yize to get himself not just back into the arena and close to the table, but also get himself back in the match as well. Just seems like he finds himself in plenty of discomfort there, as Watchalong seemingly looking for yet another century break, the 3rd one in the first 4 frames. And I tell you what, for now it does seem like the first matchup for the quarterfinal is going to be complete out there, as Watchalong up against David Gilbert is going to be certainly something for you to have your eyes full of, because you could still see a potential opportunity there for Joe to be approaching yet another time where he is going to be knocking on the door of a ranking win. Of course, was quite close at the English Open last season, but we're going to have to wait and see if he's going to be quite as close this time around as well. He's now on the break of 107 points, getting that yellow away, making it 109 as well, and could still be making a total clearance of 134 out there, as we now see Yize to come back to the table, take his break-off shot, and now let's see what's going to happen here with Gilbert. What approach is he going to have to take on here, because it seems like he cannot miss at all, but he's still not going to be happy with the shot that he's just played. Well, last thing that of course he wants to achieve is to give an easy chance away to Yize, because that could be the beginning of the end there for him to be showing that brilliant form and showing all sorts of momentum in there as well. For now, looking to try take that red away into the corner. He's done that, but once again, he hasn't really struggled when he comes down to the long shots. He's just trying to, get something further than that is what's been the issue for him. And now we're in 10 minutes into this match, but it's still very much a long shot for you to admire and to have a look how well he's played a positional shot on the green as well. He needs a response of exactly the type of a break that we've seen from Gilbert there in the previous frame, and especially, it was quite easy there for Gilbert in relation to, having to avoid that long shot. I feel like he probably was struggling a little bit more when it comes down to those long range shots, but still played a very good not the long range, but the plant of the raise into the corner, and in the end, 130 points later, was able to get himself through a very nice total clearance. Now, Yize seemingly trying to try and throw all the caution away to the wind. Worked out to this occasion there, it would seem. Trying to go for a shot on towards the black there. He's winning the world title, a curse. Zhao is not firing after his win, and now we're... Well, I think it's not really a curse, is it? Because, Bruxelles was actually able to get himself into an invitational final there as soon as he won that title. Wilson was still dominating alongside Chom there when it comes down to that 2025 season, which I think is done by far better than Xington and Bruxelles. But, it's unfair to be criticising Yize because he's had one invitational event and he's not even out of this equation just yet. Yes, he's massively underachieving so far, but he's still got a chance to try and fight this one before the intermission is going to start, and then you never quite know. A little bit of pep talk, a little bit of a ham sandwich or anything for him to take in between, and maybe the break that he's on right now would be a resurrection there for Yize to try and take this one away. So play for the red in towards the right part of the table. Probably, or seemingly I should say, is going to be a chance that he's going to be considering now. Playing a positional shot for that red, and yeah, now getting himself into an opportunity of taking that red away and making sure that he will have an opportunity of taking that red away carefully well in towards the left part of the table and still being lined up for the black there, which is a luxury that he didn't really have for the majority of the chances that he's seen himself to try and make his way through. But this time around, it does seem like the story is going to be a little bit different, as he's about to reach the average value of a break there of 27 points exactly, and still having plenty more reds to choose from when it comes down to just trying to pick them out one by one. And ultimately, when you do find yourself in a situation like this, you just have to try and make sure every single chance that you see yourself with, will be all down to you making sure you actually utilize that chance and make something bigger with it as well. Karen, for a while, isn't firing too hard, only lately coming strong. Worst case is Brissell. Yeah, but Brissell is probably the only case. I mean, you can't criticize Zhao for not firing there. He's won 3 ranking tournaments last season. Yes, he had a very quiet 2025, apart from winning the Crucible, but I think the bottom line is he did win 3 ranking events. Nobody won more than a ranking event last season, but, well, I mean, Yize did, sorry. He won the International Championship and he won the Crucible. And the only player to win 2 tournaments, apart from Yize, was down to, well, Selby won a ranking and an invitational with Champion of Champs and the UK. And then you got Karen Wilson to be winning 2 invitational tournaments as well. So you arguably could say Wilson had a better campaign last season than Trump did. Because even though Trump got himself into so many finals, he lost all of them, apart from one, where he was able to win against Murphy in the German Masters. But I still think a win is a win, and a win in 2 invitational tournaments is going to be better than a win in a ranking event. But seemingly now it is going to be the end of a break there for Yize. I mean, he's looking to see if there is a chance there for him to get through to a red onto the right corner. I tell you what, I was rather pessimistic about it, but he seems like there is going to be room for the Cubal to be seeing that red, and well, seems to have worked out on that particular occasion there, doesn't it? Because now he's got a chance of potting the black now, making the first break of 50 plus for himself, but ultimately he's got a straightforward route to the finish line there, as he's playing to try and go to a highway there of making another century break potentially, as soon as he's managed to get this frame to bed there. A very lengthy couple of frames to start the match there, but after a brilliant total clearance and just a single chance needed there, well, it was a bit of a mistake from Yize in the previous frame, but he certainly managed to redeem himself so far with a great long-range shot, and now getting himself through to the zone of trying to be lined up with some great shots that he's played himself. The weirdest thing is about this match so far from Yize is that I don't actually think he's played badly. I just think he's missed 2 very key shots there in the first and the second frame. And ultimately, these shots are the reason why he does find himself 3-0 down. But about to now find himself 3-1 down when he comes down to the intermission. So Gilbert and Joe leading with exactly the same gap there at the intermission. There's, of course, 3 centuries by Watchalong. Now a century by Gilbert in the previous frame. Let's see if it will be a worthy response there from Yize as well, as he's now looking to play the red in towards the left corner. Now still being lined up for the black to be taken into the right part of the table as well. And looking to try take the black away and just drop the cue ball perfectly well for the red to be taken into the right corner as well. So, as I say, frame time only just about reaching 7 minutes out there. So, you could have felt like it was an intermission there to be seeing, but at the end it was just a very quick break there from Yize. It's not going to leave a chance for Gilbert to be coming back to the action. And in fact, I'm pretty sure Gilbert only played a single shot out there in the entire frame, which is going to be the match for what Yize has done in the previous frame as well. Can he now match the record of David Gilbert in the previous frame? He's going to have to go for a bit of a pacey shot on the reds, and it's not going to work out for him on this occasion, but it's still a very healthy break of 88 points there, which does just about put Yize still to be in there, challenging with an opportunity there, as it's now going to be David Gilbert, with a 3-1 of a lead there versus Yize, and seemingly now finding himself in a very good position there when it comes down to the end of the intermission. He's still going to be very much the favourite there, Gilbert, but the question is, are we seeing a bit of a return there from Yize? But the second question has to be, is that return going to come in a little bit too late there? Because Gilbert is one of those players which you wouldn't really say is going to be the favourite to hold on to that lead, but I think he's not really going to be too wasteful with the opportunities if he is able to maintain the pace of the match that he's been playing at so far. But easier said than done. We're going to have to make sure if that is the case. We're going to have to wait and see whether that will happen later on. But for now, it is David Gilbert with a 3-1 lead versus Yize as world champion wins. A very key frame for him indeed to try and find himself being 3-1 down at the intermission. Stay tuned in, all to play for as we now go for a 15 minutes of a break.
I see the light inside you, brighter than the skies. Hold on, just let us escape and fly away tonight. We have the world in our sight, and I know together we'll be alright. Can you see forever we will go?
Running like a Hellcat. Like a Hellcat.
Now then, everybody, let's get ourselves back into the action as the frame number 5 is about to begin. The intermission is almost over, and let's see if we are going to see another massive player to go out after, as soon as we've seen that race for the world number 1 spot seems to have been announced, after the Saudi have pulled out of the tournament and of their 10-year contract, it does seem like nobody wants to be in the number 1 spot unless you're going to see a different story here, of course, in the second part of the match. We've already seen the world number 1, the world number 3, both to be eliminated there. The world number 3 and the world number 4 are now very much, the world number 2, I should say, and the world number 4, with Robertson and Yize are still in the equation. But for how long they're going to be able to stay there, because now you feel like this is when we are going to have to see a response from Yize. We've seen one in the 4th frame, but at the same time, hello, Letitia. We are going to be finally entering the point where you will be all down to, if Gilbert is able to just make a trade of frames, then he'll be able to win this match quite comfortably. For now, I think we need to see the momentum breaker, and I think we need to see the point of the frame, which would allow Yize to go for that early opportunity himself. Make sure that he's going to be the one putting the pressure onto David Gilbert. And, we could always see, as we now both witness both of the players making their way back towards the arena, we can always see someone like David Gilbert to produce that brilliant century break that he had with total clearance. We could always see someone like Yize to have a really good chance as well. But at the same time, it will be all down now to Gilbert to try and keep on the advantage that he's managed to receive at the first 3 frames. Or is he going to... Well, I'll tell you what, it does seem an awful lot like the previous frame there where, of course, it wasn't a break-off shot from Gilbert, but he's played one shot. He had a similar red like that available to Yize, and that was the only shot that Gilbert has played in the entire frame there. So, let's see if the history repeats itself. I think the red is slightly further away, though. And also, I'm not sure how up to the full speed is Yize going to be. And there's your answer. Nowhere near the pot. And, it's going to be over the left middle that the red is going to go there. So far, when you make a mistake in the previous 2 frames, that's for sure, you only have played a single shot there. So, Yize is the player that has played 1 shot. And now, Gilbert has got a brilliant chance of him. Is it an intermission or an interval? It's the same thing. And it's supposed to be the same thing. So it's the intermission of 15 minutes time after the 4th frame. That's, it can be called different things there. But I think the interval is usually a little bit more for when you actually have the session break, which is usually a couple of hours. So, we're going to have to wait and see on this one, though, because Gilbert has run himself a little bit high for the black. Precautionary manner, because of the red potentially being in the way there, but seems to have played the shot well. The question is, the black, where is he going to get respotted? Is he going to be in the way of Gilbert trying to go for that red? He will be. And you can see he knew that one straight away. So, that was an opportunity wasted there from David, it would seem. Although he does seem to have a shot into the green pocket there. But I'm not sure if he's going to have a colour available to him. Well, he doesn't seem to care about that one too much. He seems to go for it now. It's a risk. Let's see if he gets the reward. Always looking a little bit too far to the left there. And I think you need to do better with those type of shots because we don't really see a lot of those to be missed there so far in China Open. But always looking a little bit to the left there. Well, this is the chance. Yize has got pretty much the same shot there, but with a little bit of a benefit of playing a shot which could still see the cue ball to be in a safe place there. And let's see how well has he played the cue ball. I think he's played it pretty well, but the red is still going to be very much rattling in the jaws there. Now, both of the players make a mistake. And, I'm not yet actually too sure if he's played a good enough positional play anyway to cover off the red into the corner. And maybe he was just caught a little bit in 2 minds there because he missed that red by an awful lot of a distance. And therefore, he's still going to find himself in a position of potentially going for the red. In towards the left corner there, Gilbert. Doesn't have to be taking a long shot on for no reason. But let's see what's going to happen here then. As he gets the second bite of the cherry. Brussels is certainly in the wilderness, but on the plus side, he's only 30. Yes, I actually couldn't believe it. From probably the point of view that you mentioned. I mean, I can't believe he's 31. He doesn't look 31 to me. But can you believe that Xiao Xington is 29 and Luca Brissell is 31? I mean, that is absolutely incredible. You know, 2 years in there, Xington looks like he was born yesterday. Brissell looks like he's very much, you know, older than Selby there to me. So, yeah. Anyway, Yize certainly is being only 22 years of age. Gilbert twice as old as him, being 45 years of age. And now looking at another chance of a red to be taken. He needs to try and get a couple of more reds to himself into the open play here after he's played the shot, but also needs to make sure he got the red in first and foremost, which he did, but also gets the position on the black there, which he's also going to have for great company to him as well. Now then, a chance is going to be here for David Gilbert. It's not really the first time opportunity for him, but it doesn't really matter. You don't lose a frame if you're going to be able to win it from the second time of asking. But he's played a bit of a weird shot here, unless he's got reds on the right hand side of the paint there. Once again, because of they only show you one camera angle for the whole thing out there, so you can't really tell if the red underneath the paint will go. It seems like it will, and that should make it a straightforward shot there, because I think he's straight in that one, which always helps, so that you're going to be playing a shot on towards the black there. Gets a little bit of a cannon of the reds, which is only going to improve his mood, because I think that red is now going to be in a better position, and the cue ball is going to be about as perfect on the black as you could possibly imagine. It is about the mentality of a player. Brissell just wanted one world title, and he's satisfied and unmotivated, but these Chinese players want everything. Well, I mean, I don't really think so, because, you know, you can do Alan Prost or Nico Rosberg where you just retire after you won that title. That was weird. That was very, very weird there from Gilbert. Absolutely out of the blue. What on earth has he done there after taking such a good black away? It's such a easy position there for him. He didn't play the fantastic shot on the red, but he still would have absolutely expected him to put that one away. Well, this is the frame that Yize needs to win for him to have the chance to challenge for the match win overall. But even though he's 32 points down, he's absolutely not out of the picture just yet. And even though there are going to be plenty more difficult raids for him to try and make his way through, well, tell you what, at least he's in there with a challenge. And at least he's going to have some sort of a chance to try and make things right there for himself. But yeah, I don't really think with Brissell, he would have been playing qualifiers, you know, like it's the thing about it, like people don't really, well, some people don't know what it takes behind the scenes. He would be putting so much time in practice to try and win those qualifying rounds that you can't question his commitment. And if anything, I would say his commitment is, you know, is a little bit higher than what we see from Yize and from Xiao Xington, because one thing, you know, is to try and put the work in, week out, as now Yize playing for a very nasty cut of a red, played that one superbly well. Where's the ping going to finish though? It's going to finish out of position. I don't think he can go for that ping now. But yeah, it was always going to be a long shot. Well, I mean, does he have to? That's the question. He does, yeah, I think he needs to play a safety shot of it. I think it's just, he gets himself right back in the frame mix if he gets the ping in, but I think it's just one shot too many. And it could be the shot that cost him the match. But it could be the shot which makes the comeback possible. What a ping that is. Absolutely would have been on his neck there, shouting, screaming. This is why he doesn't have a future if he would have missed that ping. But this is exactly why he is who he is. I'm not going to be very much filling him with superlatives, but what a great shot it was. It's horrible if you miss it because you leave the position wide open for your opponent because you're playing for the red. But, well, I mean, how great that was. Very difficult to describe that with words, but as I said, I think that now puts him right back in the mix of the frame. I think being 25 points down still makes it all to play for Gilbert, and maybe that was the reason why he felt like he needed to go for that shot, because if he plays the safety, no matter how good of a safety it is, due to the location of the reds at the table, Gilbert is always going to have something to put him in a nice position there. So he had to do something different, and that's exactly what he's done now. Well, Yize doesn't seem like he's going to get any luck on this occasion. He's still going to have a red into the middle, which I still don't think is going to be as difficult as the ping, but just doesn't seem like he's getting himself the prize that he needs. for taking those attacking shots on. Well, is he going to fancy the chances of going for the red in towards the yellow pocket instead? It's a long shot, and once again, you just find yourself in a position where having to recover every single time that, well, he had to play it into the green pocket. He missed it, but I think the reason why you had to take and wanted to take that red on there is because he knew if he misses it, he's only likely to leave that red away and nothing else there. And I don't think he's put it in a good enough position there for Gilbert. So, not perfect, but still in the mix there. 11 points. I don't really think it changes the picture there for Gilbert because he's still got 5 reds ahead of him. And with those 5 reds and 11 points of a lead, I think he should be able to be more than 51 points clear until he gets to those 3 difficult reds, which still puts Yize to be the one playing catch-up. Massively, quite honestly. But, you know, if he's able to up the pace a little bit and get himself into a better position as well, he may be able to do something with that later on in the frame. So then just having a look at it. I mean, surely he's not going to try and actually pot the red here. I mean, he has to breach over the yellow so awkwardly. It's not an easy shot at all. And, well, I think he is going for it. And he went for it good enough there, clearly, to make that red in. So then, as I said, for Gilbert, it's a very different situation to what it would be if Yize was at the table now. Because he doesn't need any of those reds, if my math is correct. I mean, he's going to have 4 reds to play for. I mean, he does take the yellow on, which basically puts it down to 4 reds instead of 5 in terms of the points for him to score. But let's do the maths then. 14 points is the lead. 51, as I say, is the target. So can he score 37 points out of 4 reds? That's 32 maximum, so he can't. But I feel like the red on the ball cushion is still going to be a lot easier than the other 2. So although it is quite far down the road, but, you know, if he makes it down to at least that red, he's going to be the frame ball, or the colour after it at least. I think he is going to put himself in a brilliant position for a 4-1 lead, and at that stage, I think it's very unlikely to see a comeback, but let's see if there is going to be any extra pressure there that we see from Yize later on. Brussels is probably the only player I don't like to watch playing. Fair enough. Not a lot of players, a lot of fans do actually like to watch him to be playing out there, but I suppose each to their own. I like Brussels to be watching. I don't really like to be I wouldn't like to be supporting him because I just think it's so hot and cold, and most of the time it is cold right now. But yeah, I think from the neutrals point of view, I would absolutely love to be watching that semi-final against Yize. I think it'd probably be one of my favourite matches of all time. From the neutrals perspective, if I ever watch that semi-final live there against C, I still need to rewatch that final against Selby as well. Never actually seen it, apart from, I think, the maximum that Selby has made. It's an interesting shot there from Gilbert, and I think he's messed that one up. Yeah, I was going to say interesting, because it felt like there was a snap on the cue. So obviously I'm watching this with no audio, so I was not, like, sure if he was down to a miscue, but that felt super strange. I mean, it didn't hit that clean at all. Yes, I understand it was backspin, which means you have to swing a little bit differently there. And like hit it with a crisp shot there, but that was anything but. And, well, run himself completely out of position. And as I say, 30 points is not really going to cut it for him. And, yeah, you will basically need 3 more reds there, Gilbert, as it stands, for him to be the frame winner. But, yeah, I think, you know, the problem for Brussels, and I'm a little bit surprised with that. Let's see what safety is Gilbert now going to play there. Just trying to get the cue ball in behind the pink. Nothing special there. So then, what can Yize do out of this one? But yeah, I mean, for Brussels, I mean, it's one of probably the weirdest things in snooker, because he plays the game, for me, exactly the same style as Chipchayanu, as Jack Lisowski, Stan Moody, but to a much worse extent. Yeah, and I don't understand why Chipchaya and Jack managed to win a ranking title last season, and Brussels never got him past the quarterfinal stage. I just think that's so bizarre to me. And he managed to win the World Championship. I know he wasn't great, but let's not pretend he was the same level as C Jiahui when he was playing in that semi-final. I think C was something like the World 74. I think Brussels already at that point was in top 16 or something, or top 24. So, yeah, I think he's sort of gone from lightweight to heavyweight, and then he jumped outside of boxing completely. And once again, a little bit surprised there with the shot that Gilbert has played. But, yeah, leaving that red away to Yize may have been down to a bit of a bait here as well. But I would be careful with a bait like that, because it could well inspire Yize to be making this ultimate comeback. I mean, as I say, I think at this stage he should have been out of the picture, with 4-1 lead to be very much the reality in case of the brilliance from Gilbert as well. But I think now it is all down to... I mean, listen, I don't like to say it's a one-shot frame there, shootout, because if he makes it in, he could still run himself out of position on the collar and he gets nothing for it. But if he misses it, it's very likely to leave a chance away. Especially, I mean, look at the line that the cue ball is going to take. He's got 2 reds to miss there. And also, for him not to leave a ready to the right middle, he needs to hit that shot with so much power. I think it's an actually very clever bait there from Gilbert, because, you know, whatever happens, the frame is not going to be won there by this shot on Yize's point of view, but it can be lost, and that's exactly what happened. I think this is now going to be that the frame is going to be lost there. He's not got the easiest shot of the red in towards the right middle, but I still would absolutely fancy his chances of making that one in. And of course, the counterpoint to Gilbert's now is that he's got 1 more red than he needed to be absolutely in the open play. So I think the first red and the first color should win him the frame. If he pots it, the red is comfortably in. Let's see the position on the blue, though, if it's going to be there. Well, not quite. Not quite into the pocket that he was looking for. I don't think he's going to be looking at the bold colors here. I think he needs to go... I'll tell you what, easier said than done here. I think the blue into the right corner is going to be the shot to go for, but where are you going to find the next red from? Unless he's going to literally force himself to be... I mean, I suppose he could try and take the cue ball around the angles here. He should have the cue power to do it. Just bring it back down to the lower end of the table, but I don't think he's going to be playing for the red at the top side of the table there, so that's exactly what he's done. Let's see if he's still going to have enough points, though. 34, yeah, he will have more than enough points for him to get more than 43 points clear. So that one-off comeback frame there for Yize does seem like it's not really going to get him anywhere, because now 35 points of a lead, 2 more shots that he needs, and then he's going to have a frame ball and very much ahead of him as well. So could we see Robertson try and battle it out on his own outside of the top? Well, who's the 5th ranked player right now? Murphy, isn't it? So he's still going to be very much in the mix against Algodon, but yeah, top 4 all seem to be on the verge of elimination there, apart from Robertson, which is still going to have to play his second round match against Xiaowei. And now then, another good shot on the red, and all of a sudden, the pink is now going to disappear. And yeah, he decides to go for the blue, which is understandable to try and get on the next red. He doesn't have to worry about it too much, because any color will do. And now, it is going to be a 4-1 lead there. Absolute, well, demolition job that you have to say. But once again, Gilbert just seems like he's able to, when he doesn't get punished for those mistakes, he's able to say, like, all right, you don't punish me for my mistake, I'm going to punish you for your mistake that you're going to keep on making. And that's exactly the story of the match so far. Now, Gilbert does find himself with a 4-1 lead. And I'm very close to getting that scoreline right there, but the problem is, I thought it was going to be Yize that was going to win this match 6-2. At this stage of the match, it seems like I could well get the score right. Not necessarily the player to win it, though. As Gilbert there just carefully makes that red in towards the green pocket. And now makes it a break of 23 points as well for him. So still looking for the brown to be taken. And the 3rd break for him of 50 plus points to be very much on the line. So a very careful shot on the brown. Once again, just nudges that one away. And still looking to try and play the yellow towards the green pocket. And trying to get the cue ball slightly wider of the green. Make sure he's going to have as straightforward of a shot as he can. And as I say, the break of 54 points for a total clearance is still going to be very much on the line for him. A little bit lengthier of a frame than what we've seen so far. But at the same time, he would be all down to less pressure on Gilbert. And I think he will be all down to a couple of mistakes there to be made by both of the players as well. Now, doesn't seem to be one coming up the way of David Gilbert anytime soon. Yize is now carefully taking that blue away. Once again, he's going to be the one putting the last couple of colours there, and of course he has to do that on 4 out of the 5 occasions where he was able to. Every single time he won a frame, basically, he got down to the last pink, whether he was down to a clearance or whether he was down to a little bit of battle until the end of the match, until the end of the frame. So then, Brazil placed into saying first and foremost, and winning is of a lesser concern. I don't really agree with that, to be fair, because you can't really. You're not a clown, are you? You're not going to be in this business to entertain. I think you're here to win. You know, I think you can entertain when you're winning or you're in a very comfortable position. Like when Wilson does it, where he's having a bit of a laugh or a joke because he is that type of a person. Or when we all see Trump, Wilson, Zinton, Yize to entertain us on the last colours when they don't mean anything. That's entertainment. I think for Brazil, I think it's probably the way that he plays the game. And he clearly knows, because of that World Championship, that he's capable of making that way of the game work for him. But I think a couple of points to it. I think you have to be on top of your game for Brazil to be competitive. And I also think the tour has changed from what it was 3 years ago. You've got the likes of, I don't know, Alan Taylor challenging Ronnie O'Sullivan to a decider. You've got Jordan Brown to be beating Zhao Xington in the first round by 4 frames to 0. You've got Matthew Stevens still very much beating Trump last season in Wuhan. Anyone can beat anyone, and I feel like that's what's happening to Brazil. The problem is he can't really beat anyone right now. As I said, he's going to miss out for the whole first part of the season, not because he's sick, not because he's pulling out of tournaments, but because he's lost to everyone in the qualifiers so far. I mean, he's lost in the qualifier to this event. He's lost to the qualifier of Shenzhen Open, Wuhan Open, English Open. And he hasn't played the qualifying for the British Open either. So he could well lose that one too. So yeah, which is not great. And I think because of that, he may actually be under a little bit of threat of, losing his place on the tour as well. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but I won't be surprised. He hasn't scored any ranking points yet. And let's have a look then. What have we got on rankings for Brazil? I think he's still inside the top 40 players, but I don't know which place. He's not. He's 42nd. 42nd right now. 400 pounds clear of Ben Wollaston. And somehow he's still clear of the likes of Matthew Stevens, Michael Holt, Oliver Lyons, Daniel Wells, Napon Senkhan, Matthew Selt. But I mean, I say somehow. He's the world champion of 2023, I suppose. But, end of season ranking do show Brazil, he's probably going to have to be way down, isn't he? Something like outside of the top. Yeah, he's 63rd right now. He'll have 55,000 worth of ranking points, which at this moment in time will just about keep him to be very much down to a chance to be back on the tour next season. But, well, I'm not sure if that's going to be great news or not. If he's going to be staying in the world number 63, that clearly means he had another abysmal tournament abysmal season, I should say, to speak for him. And back to this one then. Yize 1, David Gilbert 4. There is still going to be, I think, a decent enough opportunity for Yize to try and win this one, but he needs to make sure he starts acting now, and he doesn't really allow Gilbert to be within 1 frame of a reach there. I think on the previous frame, there's a lot fewer things that you can say that are going to be negative about Yize, as Gilbert there doesn't play the best shot, but once again, I mean, I don't know if that becomes a tactic at this stage, but he's genuinely just reeling him in with a fish shot there, leaving him this, the bomber to be tangling there, and now he leaves the red over the left middle in just about tricky enough of a position so that Yize is going to have to go for it, but there's absolutely no chance that, it's going to be an easy shot for him. And once again, with Gilbert's consistency, one mistake and he could blow over, and that's going to be the case here, it would seem. Once again, the red that he's going to come on missing, and I think that's exactly what Gilbert was trying to achieve with that previous shot. Develop the position quite quickly and make sure that he's going to be the first player to get the real chance out there. Now, Gilbert is now going to be looking to try and approach a 5-1 of a lead, and I tell you what, losing 1 frame to Ding was impressive. Losing 1 frame to Yize would be super impressive as well, as he's now seemingly on his way to be winning yet another frame. Snooker is a very mental demanding game. Without motivation, it's difficult to get into the game as it's half lost before one strike in the first shot. Yeah, but I think it reminds me of something that Usyk used to say, and still probably says about it. Motivation is overrated. Motivation is overrated. You should have discipline. You know, I think that's something that we clearly know that Brazil didn't have, because when he was giving those interviews at the World Championship, he was doing a bit of a Nick Kyrgios where he was saying, well, I was playing FIFA till 3 a.m. on the match that I had to play against Ronnie. I mean, can you imagine? He's got Ronnie to play tomorrow in the afternoon or evening, whatever, and he's been playing FIFA till 3 o'clock in the morning, which, you know, I suppose you may have better things to do, but at the same time, he clearly felt like that was the way for him to try and prepare to that match. But it worked. I mean, it worked because he was, as he was saying, he was absolutely in bits in relation to, he didn't know what day it was, but he was still very much down to, I know I can play. And I think that's probably going to explain what happened to him to an extent, but I still think it's really, really weird how you can go from being, you know, challenging to be the best player in the world, if not the best player in the world, after he won the Crucible. I still think at that point, someone like probably Ronnie and Trump were better, but I think Brazil was probably the third best as soon as he managed to win that Crucible title, based off the stats, based on the numbers, and based off the eye contact as well. But I mean, it shows you anything can happen in snooker, and especially, you know, if you don't really have the discipline out there. But it seems like he's tried to get it back on track there in relation to, of course, he can only judge from what he says, and he says that he's practicing harder than ever, keeps on posting clips of social media, but of him, you know, doing the practice routine all the time out there. But the bottom line is, he also keeps losing those matches to the qualifiers, and, you know, when you lose to Bingham, that's fine, 6-0, it's not really that fine, but when you lose to Anthony Kowalski, which so far doesn't really seem to have shown any sign of form that got him to the Crucible last season, in the qualifiers this season, and I'm pretty sure, well, I'm not pretty sure, but I think it's the only match that he's won this season, Kowalski, and that was against Luca Brazil, which probably just shows you that Luca is still way off the pace there. But someone that he's been up to the pace throughout the entire match here so far has been David Gilbert. I arrived after the intermission. I was expecting Wu to lead GG Gilbert. Well, it does seem like that. I mean, yeah, I expected it as well, but yeah, I thought that fourth frame could still be a bit of a jawbreaker there for Gilbert, because it may just be, you know, that one frame that you need. You get your second one as well, and you're right back in the action there. But I'll tell you what, that was, I mean, once again, how wide are these pockets, man? Like, I'm never going to get tired of saying it. Gilbert knew, and he very much knew. You could look at his face there and you would see he knew that should have gone wide, because he had panic on his face there for a split second, and he still drops in there. I just don't think, you can clearly see the black is going wide, but it will just drop in anyway because of how wide the pockets are. And even though I don't think that's been the reason for downfall for Yize at this match, but I think that's been the reason why we've seen so many top seeds to be eliminated, especially Trump. I think Trump's match shows it best, where Trump was struggling badly with the positional play, and his opponent didn't really care about the positional play, which is why I don't really think he'll be able to do the same thing with Ronnie. He's going to have to up his game out there. But you could say, oh, he had brilliant breaks there. Yeah, but he had brilliant breaks because it's impossible for you to miss those shots when you're half decently lined up on them, and you've got, you know, a little bit of concentration in your head as well. So I just think the likes of Trump are going to be always trying to give the edge to the positional play there, and therefore sometimes they may be taking an eye off the pot. You know, the likes of, I don't know, Seinham certainly. I think another one was Yao and Chang. I don't think he played well, but I think he was genuinely just reliant on, you know, the pot success, which is easier, down to those pockets, and the positional play was very much all over the place for him as well. Which, same with Zhang. I think, once again, the match of Zhang and Gilbert, for now, is very different because their opponents were struggling badly. But at the same time, they played well on some of the occasions. But I still think Gilbert is probably one of the top performers so far, because he genuinely comes across as a player that, even though he's benefited from the black there, but he didn't really do that frame in, frame out. And some of the shots that he played were really down the center of the pocket. And therefore, He's now put himself within that window of being 5-1 clear. And of course, you're not really going to be able to come back from that point, you would feel, from Yize's point of view, which would make Ronnie O'Sullivan to be the favourite to win this tournament for the first time since that exhibition tournament in Saudi in 2024. Certainly has been a while since that point, but yeah, let's have to wait and see if Gilbert is able to get himself over the finish line here. Only needs a red and a colour, and then as I said, 5-1 may as well be game over, especially with the way that Yize has been playing so far. I think he was able to recover from being 5-2 or 4-1 down against Jiang John there in the quarterfinal of the Welsh last season, but probably second worst match I've watched in the entire season. I think the worst one was Daniel Wells against Mark Williams. It was one of those kill me matches, or bleach my eyes. And yeah, I think Jiang John against Yize was absolutely atrocious to watch. 5 hours, I think, for something like 9 frames it should be illegal, that. But anyway, Gilbert has managed to absolutely step up to a whole new level there. And when you ignore the lack of mistake that he had in the 4th frame, he didn't make a single mistake there in the 4th frame. He only played a single shot, which was a decent safety, but that was the only shot that he had to play. Apart from that, the last 3 frames have been absolutely stunning. Frame number 3 was brilliant. Frame number 5 was even better. And now, frame number 5 was good. Frame number 3 was even better. And now look at this. I mean, he's taken the position from nowhere down to an absolutely gem of a break there. And once again, a break of 80 points. Can barely keep up with him there. You're watching from which channel? I'm watching on WSD because I can't be asked with having to flick in between the TNT and HBO Max all the time. Because you never know which one of them is going to be broadcasting it. So just the WSD play the streaming thing for me. Live channel. Yeah, of course. Not going to be watching this on replay, am I? And yeah, so going for the black into the left corner, just trying to bring the cue ball slightly closer towards the red, in towards the yellow pocket as well, which could be making another break of a century plus. You know, we're seeing breaks of 54, 56, 96 and 132 there. And of course, this one is still counting, but I think it probably shows you what we've seen of Yize there. Look at the top 3 highest breaks. Look at the 4th and the 3rd highest break there, 20 and 21 points. I mean, if that is not dreadful after 6 frames, I don't know what is. Just because he had that brilliant break in the 3rd frame of 88 points shouldn't really, you know, change the whole picture around. And yeah, I think the bottom line is Gilbert is probably, alongside Joey Long, that was able to win against Mark Williams, that's probably one of the only guys that was able to genuinely beat the top seeds purely on his game. And I think Zhang has to be in there as well. And not down to pockets being as wide as no, so you shouldn't really focus on the positional play, and that certainly has been the way for some of the players to have played top seeds. I think that certainly was the way with Lu Hongyu, although Barry struggled a little bit there. I think that certainly was the way for Sangham to beat Trump, and I think, as I say, Gilbert, Joe, and Zhang have been the only 3 players that have managed to make it fair and square purely on their own game. And now, after 132 points. We're now going to see 122 points here as well of a break from Gilbert. He has been playing absolutely outstanding today, and he has been in his unstoppable mode. He's going to miss the black there, which is not really going to count. It's 122 points for David Gilbert that gets himself through to a 5-1 lead, and I think this is now mission impossible for Yize to try and get himself in towards the next round. Whether it will be down to 1 more frame for him to try and see, we'll have to wait and see, but yeah, I think it's no chance that we will see Yize in the next round, but there is still a chance that we'll see Lu Hongyu in the next round, as despite being 3-1 down and conceding 3 centuries in the first 4 frames to Joey Long, he has also lost out on a couple of other frames as well. But now you are going to have 3 frames each, so the break of 67, 51 and 62 out there being enough for Lu Hongyu to get himself 3 frames on the board, and now looking to try and challenge Joey Long for a place into the 3rd round as well. So it doesn't seem like it's all over just yet. And let's have a look at the draw as well, because I think these 2 might have to clash with each other there. So we are potentially looking at Gilbert against well, the winner of Joey Long against Lu Hongyu there, because you can't really pick out the favourite there. So it's going to be one of the quarterfinals. Murphy Sao Gudon. He's going to be against Ronnie O'Sullivan to Noponse Kam there. So the winner of that pair. And then we are going to have Mark Selby versus Karen Wilson and Si Jiahui versus Neil Robertson as another couple of players that we could see right in there with the action. Going to be quite interesting to see the way they decide to do the draw there, because I think it would also matter a lot in relation to the way they want to approach the second day, of course. These last 16 matches are going to be played tomorrow on Thursday. Quarterfinals are going to be finished by the end of Friday. And then we are going to be through to a one table format on Saturday and Sunday, as we get 2 semi-finals to be underway for eventual place in the final. Gilbert then is ready, and it's now going to be down to him to be the player to break off. I would have hoped that you would cover the Murphy match tonight, but I think you have a different preference. Yeah, I think I do. I think I do. And my preference is certainly going to be with Sankam against O'Sullivan. You know, whenever Ronnie's playing, I mean, one thing, no matter who's playing on the other table, if Ronnie's playing, I'm going to be there for it, and that's the bottom line. But I don't think it's going to be that interesting as it sounds there, you know. I think Murphy's just going to, well, I mean, I always say that about Murphy. When he comes across anyone that is not in the top 6, I just think he's going to absolutely demolish him. I do. I think Sao has been all right, but I think Murphy's been really good. I think that loss that he had to Yize in the Shanghai Masters being his only loss of the season so far, I think it just shows you. And Wu played quite well, but it was still down to Murphy to have the first chance in the decider. So, yeah, I just think he had his birthday yesterday or the day before. The day before, I think it was. Maybe yesterday. Yeah, I think it was the day before. And now he's going to be recharged. He's had plenty of days of rest. He's going to be playing today in the evening in China. So we'll see what's going to happen. But there is still potential to be seeing a massive comeback. And as I say, the comeback of the season. You know, Zhang had probably his comeback of the season after being 3-0 and 4-2 down against Zhao Xington. Probably has to be called as the comeback of the season. We haven't really seen a 3-frame deficit to be overturned so far in those matches that we've seen them play, especially against the world champion, especially whilst being the lower seed, and especially if you look at the body language from Zhang from the first 3 frames, you felt like there was absolutely no chance for him to do anything about it. But that's what I thought. That frame from Yize might still give him a little bit of hope that he won before the intermission there, because that's exactly what Zhang did. He lost first 3 frames, then he had a really good 4th frame, then he had a decent 5th frame, and he was able to win that one as well. But Gilbert had other plans, and now he's just going to be looking for one more chance. That should be enough there, which he'll get inevitably. And it's just a question of if and when he's able to take at least one of those chances away. And that could be the answer. Oh, that was close. That certainly was very close indeed. He felt like he caught that red nicely in towards the right middle. Has he got cover on the brown though? I don't think he has. So he's going to be, you know, still showing signs of, well, some sort of life there in himself as he now gets that red into the middle. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really going to be jumping on the back and come back on there, because I think the comeback is not really going to be on until the decider. Because with Gilbert, he's just, you know, the thing that makes him so interesting to be watching there, as I thought he might have missed the blue there straight away, but he didn't, is that he can be in a bad mood, he can be in a good mood, but whatever it comes down to the chances, he can get a chance out of nowhere. And then when he gets that opportunity, you never know. So far today he's been absolutely brilliant with taking those chances away. I think he wasted a couple, but I don't think you can criticize him a lot there for winning 5 out of the 6 frames out there. But yeah, we'll still keep an eye on the match between Murphy and Sao Gudon, but I would expect a very one-sided match out there. I know Gudon is not bad in China, but I think Murphy's not going to be lacking any good game in China either. When your opponent is in high spirits on turbo mode, there is not much one can do, even if you're GOAT or Sullivan. Well, yeah, but I think Ronnie has been able to do, and I think a couple of players are able to do that. And as he plays the cue ball in between all sorts of reds, let's see if he's still got the one that he was playing for. And of course, as I say, 22 points. That is 3rd highest break in the match. Shows you everything that has gone wrong for him. And with him getting... Listen, a couple of the opportunities that he's been given were a little bit unfair to him. But I think on the other hand, he had so many other chances where he was just not able to do anything with those opportunities. And I think that's very much the reason why the scoreline is going to be what it is. I still don't think it probably doesn't show you the picture, but I'm absolutely not going to say that Gilbert doesn't deserve every bit of that 5-1 lead. He deserves all of it. If anything, he probably didn't really deserve to lose the third frame because he hasn't done anything wrong, which is the fourth frame, I should say, which is the weirdest thing ever. You know, when you're 5-1 up against the top seed and you're going to be looking at, you know, the frame that you lost and like, what could I have done differently? So we're going to have to wait and see. For now, it's 38 points of a break, and we are still going to be looking at Yize to try and make his way towards the right, onto the right corner. Playing the cue ball on towards the blue there. Will Murphy play against Murphy if they both win today? Yes, I think so. I think that will be the case. Yes, I remember because I was saying that if Murphy wins, if Ronnie would have lost to Page, I think Sangham already won against Trump out there. I think Murphy probably becomes the favourite for, you know, certainly for him to be in the semi-finals. But now, of course, it's a weird shot there from Yize, but he's got an extra red to be saving him on this occasion there in towards the right middle. But yeah, I think Murphy is still going to have a chance of being the favourite against Ronnie, but I think, you know, we've seen two very contrasting matches last season there in between two of them. I think the first one was the match that didn't happen because Ronnie lost the round beforehand. Then the second one was in the Riyadh Championship where Murphy won 4-0. Then we've seen Ronnie to win against him at the last 16, I think it was, at the World Open. Brilliant match from Ronnie. One of the best that he's played all season. Because Murphy wasn't bad when he was playing in that match, but Ronnie was just, you know, a little edge ahead. And I think there were just a couple of mistakes from Murphy, whereas there was pretty much a flawless performance from Ronnie, which you don't often say about him. And he was able to win that match, I think, 5-3. Gilbert is talented. It's a long time. Yeah, I mean, I think from Gilbert's point of view, it will be all down to an opportunity here for Yize to try and get himself a little bit closer to Gilbert. But I think we all know, as I said, until the 9th frame started, the 10th frame, I should say, started, I think it's very much Gilbert's match to lose, and that will be the end story of it. I don't think there's anything else to add. You can say he needs to fight back, and he absolutely must. That's the whole point of playing competitive sport there. But, you know, when it comes down to Dave, I think he doesn't have to worry about that one bit. And it will be all down to 57 points right now for Yize, as he's now still looking at the black to be taken in towards the left corner. And, of course, that will get him 64 points of a lead. 75 at the table as it stands. But it does seem like he's run himself a little bit thin on the reds available. May just have to place the cue ball on the left-hand side of the black there so that you can see through a red highest of them all, of the 5 in the pack, and try and take that one away into the middle. But I'll tell you what, I mean, you should have thought about it a little bit earlier, I should say, because it's not really the shot that you want to be playing for to get yourself set up for a frame ball. And even though there is a little bit of insurance with the reds over the left side cushion, but I think we don't need a reminder what happened to the previous red like that. He was staking with a double. Very much potted there from Gilbert. Well, I'll tell you what, this is missable. And it is going to be made in the pocket. Once again, I thought he's missed that one. But once again, that's the advantage of using the back end jaw rather than a front end. Let's have a look how close he was. Oh, very close. Very close. I mean, usually the bounce from the jaw is going to be a little bit more significant than that. But maybe it looked like he had more power in the shot than he actually did. They need to win first. This tournament full of surprises so far. Yeah, but as I said, I think I always said this in the first round. If the decider doesn't kickstart Yize, he'll lose the next match. He's either going to win this one very comfortably, or he's going to lose it. He's not going to have a second decider from here, first of all, but he's not going to win the second decider. I know he's got a positive record there, and if he gets to the decider, he becomes a favourite, but you know, I think as it stands, he's still got absolutely no chance in that being the case. But, you know, crazier things have happened. the double is not going to be making it into the corner pocket, and in the end it will be a break of 80 points out there. Still very, very solid from Yize, as he does get himself a second frame on the board, and is still very much fighting, just like the fish that would have been thrown out of the sea out there. The problem is, doesn't really have a lot of a lifeline to hold on to, and yet another mistake could cost him very, very dearly indeed. For now then, it is still David Gilbert 5, Yize 2. I'll tell you what, Lu Hongyu is genuinely taking the game to Long there. I mean, not that I knew a lot about Lu Hongyu there, but I certainly thought Zhou was able to run away from him, especially since he's made 3 centuries in the first 4 frames. So for now, the statistic is, if you make a century, you win a frame. If you win a frame, you make a century. But yeah, I mean, doesn't really have anything else to show for it. And now, Lu with a great chance to try and close off the 7th frame as well, with the reds being spread out perfectly well for him on the middle part of the table. So then, 5-2 of a lead, yeah. So, well, I mean, once again, not a lot has changed, I think, since the previous frame. It's still a massive task to win 4 frames in a row. 3 frames, and then you're going to put yourself for the 1 frame shootout. But, I mean, yeah. And, try to watch you for it, but it's on my phone. Don't worry about it. I don't think it does, actually. I don't think it does, Letitia. I think that's probably only you seeing it, because I see it in English. I was actually wondering why it was, you were saying that yesterday. I think it only does it for you, you know. It's always in English for me. I don't know how the Chinese players acquire the nicknames after Xiao's nickname has changed from X Factor to Psy. Yeah, I've seen that as well. Would you have seen that on the WST thing when they were posting social media about it? I don't know about it either, because I thought the whole point of a nickname is that you stick to it until the end. Like, you know, they asked Gilbert about it, because they called him the polite Englishman or whatever, and he said, absolutely not, I'm still the angry farmer. So yeah, I don't really know, but it's not the thing that would get plenty of stories on ITV channel. Anyway, let's get the 8th frame underway then. We can't really do that without the player breaking off, as Yize has still gone for a little bit of a break, which he deserves, to be fair, after a really good opportunity of scoring some good points out there, with a break of 80 points exactly to add to 88 that he's had for beforehand. He's now going to be all down to an opportunity here for David Gilbert to finally get himself over the finish line. I think he doesn't really want to be taking that one too long. And I think 6-2, 6-3 is going to be the fitting result as it stands. But, of course, it all comes down to the chance that he didn't really get in the previous frame. But I think another point, which is going to be a positive for him, is going to be put down to, if he does play well and he does get that chance, I think he's got absolutely nothing that is going to stop him from winning that frame without really giving an opportunity away to Yize. But still seems to be waiting patiently out there, which is not really the way that he plays the snooker game, by the way. Talking about Gilbert, let's have a look how Lu Hongyu is doing, as he's about to seemingly win the frame there against Watchalong and make it down to 3-1 of a deficit that he's going to turn into 4-3 of an advantage there for himself. So still very interesting to see the way that match is going to work out. And of course, the winner of those 2 matches will play the winner of the other match as well. So David Gilbert against Yize, the winner will play the winner of Watchalong against Lu Hongyu out there. So 3 players from China, 1 from England. But for now, it does seem like England is the closest towards the final, towards the next round match. And now then Yize is finally here, back towards the arena, improving that average break from 38 to 45 right now. He needs to make sure every single chance that he takes, as he now has messed up the break-off shot. So this is the chance that we talked about, or is it? I mean, the cue ball's gone slightly awkward on the way of the green there, so I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult than it looks. So then let's see what's going to happen with this red taken into the right corner potentially. I mean, Gilbert has made a shot like that beforehand when he was having to bridge over the yellow, and he's going to make this one in as well. So still, despite that break of 80 points, he doesn't seem to have done anything to that momentum of David Gilbert. And now, for the first time since getting that 5th frame on the board, he is going to get himself a point on the board as well. And now a chance to try and close out the frame, although it's still very early days here, but ultimately, of course, close out the match as well. I think the blue being out of position is going to have to be sorted out for Gilbert quite soon, because I think he certainly could do with the blue to be potted into the yellow pocket. As now then, he plays a backspin shot on the cue ball and just trying to get the white to be running towards the lower end of the table. Yeah, he just needs to make his life as easy as he can, and I'm not sure he's done that with the body language. Trying to get through towards the black ball spot there is going to be the best thing that he can give to himself. And for now, he needs to try and go for the red higher than the black there slightly. I think he might be down to the angle that he wasn't really happy with, but still able to recover quite well. And now back on towards the black there. Still 3 more reds that he can go for with no issues after scoring 12 points there as the black disappears into the right corner. Yeah, as I said, I think 6-2. As I said, I said 6-2 before the match started. We're going to ignore the player. But I think, yes, joking aside, I think Gilbert has been brilliant so far. And not just down to, making those chances clinical, but those shots when you have to bridge over the green and yellow are not easy thing for you to do at all. And that's why it's been super impressive for him to find himself in that window of trying to get over the finish line here. And clearly winning this match by quite a bit of a distance right now. So 20 points, play 0 there from a Yize's point of view. And Gilbert is still very much in control of the position. As I said, I don't really know if the red on the right of the main pack goes. I think it does from this camera angle, as they finally show you a different perspective to the camera. You may as well say hooray to that, because it doesn't happen often. Yeah, but I think he is going to be a little bit low on the reds, which is why he's going to try and take the pink now for contrast. And as long as he gets the pink into the middle, he should have a couple of more reds for him to develop. Though I don't think he played that shot well. I'm not actually sure if he's on anything, which would be weird. But I would also say the reaction should be a little bit more sort of angry than this if he wasn't on the red. So which shows that he is. And now the question is, does he have one more red available? Since he's taken the previous one away, now he's going to have the pink on the blue ball spot. Whatever it is, it doesn't seem to be perfectly content with it. So then still, he's got 28 points of a lead. Going to be 34 if the pink is going to make his way towards the pocket. And then it will be all down to one split of the pack if he wants to go for it off the side cushion. It's been a trademark shot which worked out really well for him so far today. Although he didn't really have to play that too many times there. He's gone for it. How's the luck? Oh, I think it's horrible. I think he's played that shot about as well as he could have, but I don't think he's on anything. So, well, plenty of power. And he caught the reds from exactly the point where he wanted to, but yeah, just didn't really see them split enough there from each other. But still, 34 points and 1 red on the side cushion. Should probably boost his chances by even more of a margin there when he comes down to winning the frame. But it does seem like he's going to have to wait for another opportunity, unless he can squeeze one of those reds towards the left middle, which I don't think that's the shot for you to play. Simply for if you miss it, like you leave the position wide open there. Make Yize work for his chance. Make the position to be a little bit worse there as you play the safety shots as well. Not just down to the cue ball positioning, but down to the reds positioning as well, which I think Yize being 107 points available probably will need all the reds but 1 I should say. And yeah, Gilbert just thinking about the safety shot to play. More than a minute there, which rarely happens with Gilbert. I think he's going to be one of the best players when it comes down to the average shot time. And remember, something that I didn't actually realize until, recently. I knew it, but I forgot about it. He has got himself to the final of the Championship League this season. So, yeah, he certainly has been showing some fine form. Of course, he didn't play in the Shanghai Masters. He's not in the top 16. But, apart from that, I'm not really sure about qualifiers. But I think, Championship League final certainly speaks for itself. I think he's certainly shown some great form out there as well. And now, 450 plus breaks later, he's going to have a break of 34 points. And leaves Yize at a pretty difficult position there, it must be said. Because I think the red on the left-hand side of the pink may be available for you to play a safety shot from. But if you think that's easy, you don't know anything. And that's exactly why. He's played a decent shot there, Wu. I can see that even without the contact to the green, which could have been a little bit kinder to him. But it was pretty much about as much as he could do there. and he put the red a little bit too close towards the right corner. I was thinking Xiao was a Cyclone. No, that Zhao Xington is the Cyclone. Xiao Gudong was the X Factor, and now apparently he's been renamed to Cyberman. There could be a difference in that as well. Now there are a chance for the red to be taken in towards the right corner. We played that one. Oh, I'll tell you what, that's not a great shot that he's played. But is he going to get away with it? Seems like he will. But to be fair, I mean, he's going to get away with it based on the red that he missed. And based on the cue ball's position, he's still going to be absolutely sublime there. So you can't really blame him for that one too much. Now then, Yize just looking at his options that he's got ahead of him. Ideally, he wants that red out of the picture here at the top end of the table because, you know, if he doesn't have it out of the picture now, the next safety shot that Gilbert is going to play, he's very likely to see that red enough there. So the problem is, I don't really think he can touch the red here because the only way to get through the gap there for the red, he's going to be getting way too close towards the right middle. So yeah, just in between there when it comes down to a shot selection for Yize's point of view. He's still leading the poll somehow. 59% of you think that he's going to be the match winner. I would have changed that to 2-0. Now, well, that's not a great shot for you to play. But the question is, has he left? Well, he has left the red into the left corner to be taken. So, well, a little bit reckless, but at the same time, what else was he supposed to do out there? Now then, Gilbert, surely now he's going to be the point for him. The previous red was still a good opportunity, but this one is going to be a lot easier. And I think the only thing that he has to be cautious about is that blue, pink, and black are out of position. Blue and pink are out of the play as well. The black is still over the right corner. So get this red in, get on the black, which he did with a bit of a lucky kiss of the other red, but probably deserved it on the previous shot. Now he will be very much a race down the finish line. And an opportunity here for Gilbert to get himself through towards the third round there and play either Watchalong or Lu Hongyu, as he's now getting the rest out. Let's have a look how that match is going. So for now, it's only the start of the 8th frame, as Watchalong finds himself trailing by 4 points. Clearly made a foul shot because the cue ball was about to be respotted there by the referee. So then Gilbert taking a little bit of time to see on what's going to be happening with the black there. Never seems to be a fan there, the player, any sort of a player on the World Snooker Tour, when you've got especially a colour to be over the pocket and having to play for that next red for yourself. So we'll see on what's going to happen here then, as he's now still looking for a potential opportunity of taking that black away into the right. I mean, I tell you what, he's genuinely taken more than 2 minutes in this shot, I think. So whether it's down to, well, I don't know, the black is in the pocket, as I say, you have to play slightly towards and away from the side cushion out there, but at the same time, there is a red waiting for you to be potted in towards the left corner, and at the same time, I just think it would be all down to a shot on the red to be taken. Yeah, I mean, it's now more than 2 minutes that he's taken the shot, and still not really an opportunity which we are going to witness from him showing the signs of, you know, it's all been resolved there for him. Yeah, one of the weirdest pauses that I've seen so far in the match. I mean, it literally has got the black in the pocket, and unless that red doesn't go into the left corner because of the black there, I mean, surely he can just try and play the cue ball away and into the gap in between that loose red and the pack of the reds. So just get it the other way there. Maybe he feels like it's not really going to be possible for him. Well, he's tried something else. And I think he's trying to go in behind of the reds for the left middle. I think he's played that shot quite well. Obviously that red, of course, something that I didn't mention, was going to be blocked off by the black there. So now, he's got a chance of playing for a shot in towards the left corner. But at the same time, I don't really think that's going to be the case, as he's now looking to see the bold colours that he's going to be looking for. So now then, a shot for the red, which he can play. Is he going to be able to get this one in there? Because once again, it does remind you of the red that changed the match completely in the second frame, where Yize was one shot away from winning the frame, basically, for how good he managed to make the position. Let's see what's going to happen here with Gilbert. And I think it's going to be perfectly in the pocket is the answer. Now 43 points clear. Still having plenty of reds available to him. and now about to pick up the pieces on the brown at the top edge of the table as well. As now it's been 2.5 hours since the match has got underway, and it does seem like it won't be 2.5 hours until it's going to end here. In fact, it's probably not going to be another frame for us to be seeing, but Gilbert still needs to get over the finish line, and I'm not sure he's done a good job there to be getting on this raid in towards the yellow pocket. Once again, having a good old look at it. May have to go for a check in towards the yellow pocket as well, but he seems to be happy with how much of the red can he actually see here. So the 47 points is going to be the advantage, 91 at the table. So still needs that positional shot to get the cue ball down the table there, and then hopefully try and exploit the black to its full potential, as it's now 48 points, which is the lead. Looking to try and take the green away as well, which will get him nicely lined up for plenty of selections there when he comes down to the reds at the lower end of the table. And Gilbert not necessarily being featuring in too many of the quarterfinals last season. He's about to be in one now. Surely there's not going to be a way back if he gets this transitional shot sorted out there, which should be simple enough from the right side cushion. A little bit of pace management there on the white, you feel. But even if he does overplay it, he's always going to have a raid on the right part of the table for him to go for. He decided to try and take this one on 2 cushions. So clearly playing for the raid lowest of them all. Just, well, I mean, a little bit surprised with that. Clearly felt there wasn't an easy gap for him to squeeze that cue past those raids. Needs to be making sure he's not straight in the raid, which he's not. And just trying to get this shot into the black there when it comes down to the cue ball's positioning to be sorted out. Slightly lower than the black as well, but way too close for it to be a problem there, you would feel. As he should be able to get the black into the corner, potentially use the raids as the handbrake for the cue ball, get himself lined up on that raid into the right corner, which is going to be available to him anyway. There's a little bit of a swing there to add it and inject a little bit of extra pace. Worked out about as well as he could have. And camera goes back onto Yize because we know, and he now knows, it is all over. Well, it was always going to be all over as soon as he got 4-1 and especially 5-1 as well, but he's managed to put up a decent fight in 2 of those frames. But apart from that, losing out on plenty of those close occasions. Just not been good enough there, but brilliant from Gilbert when it comes down to his own performance and being in charge of the game very much from start to finish. It is now going to be down to 67 points ahead, 67 at the table. And now we are going to have an opportunity for 68 points of a lead as well, whilst Yize will need 3 snookers. But of course for Gilbert, he can't quite manage a total clearance here with a century rate. Although, I mean, he may be able to. He's on 41 points, and if he makes an actual total clearance, 4 reds, 4 blacks as it stands, he should be able to make a break of exactly 100 points. But I think the pink and the blue might have something to say about that, because I don't really think that's going to happen, because of them two being out of position. Now that transitional shot from the pink onto the black is going to be one of the harder shots that he would have had to play in the entire match there, it would seem. But yeah, in the end, getting the job done quite quickly. As I say, didn't really get an opportunity in the previous frame, and now being able to do that without extra hustle or sweat there, making sure that he will be representing England at the China Open in the quarterfinals. As you never quite know, we're certainly going to have the English derby of Selby against Wilson, but apart from that, you're not really going to say that it's all written in the stars there, that you're going to see an English player into the quarterfinals there. We've got Murphy and O'Sullivan, obviously, but Xiao Gudun and the Ponseng will have something to say about that. And I think if Xiao is going to be an easy job there for Murphy, Sangha might be able to produce another upset there after being able to knock out the world number 1. But this time around, it just seems like it won't be a century break after all. It will have to be just a total clearance there for Gilbert to settle for, as it's now a break of 66 points. So going for the green carefully well. It will make it down to 96 to be possible, but still going to be more than good enough there when it comes down to the pure power and pure skills. When we talk about Gilbert and his ability to score some really good points out there, I think he's absolutely thrashed Yize in every single one of the stats there. Okay, congrats Gilbert and good luck next round. We'll stay positive and recharge. Many more tournaments to be won later. Yeah, I mean, surprising start to this campaign, but once again, as he was for Zhao Xington, got himself a season before that, got himself to the semi-final of the Shanghai, mashed by Wu and then eliminated in the second round of the next tournament, which pretty much mashed by Wu again. There's Gilbert there, flying towards, the pink here, and actually being able to make a little bit of progress in that one as well. I mean, look at that. He's actually going to be able to produce a total clearance after being able to make contact with the pink. He has finished every single one of those frames that he's won on the pink, on the black, but this time he's going to finish it on the pink. It's been a brilliant performance there from David Gilbert. Yize doesn't really have a lot to say because he's been blown away there by the machine of the David Gilbert, and he's now been able to win this match by 6 frames to 2, losing out just 3 frames in total to Ding Zhuyi and Yize. And now we see the world number 1, the world number 3, and the world number 4 all to be eliminated before the start of the third round match. And now we could potentially see ourselves to be seeing another small bit of sensation, as Liu Hanyu is still going to be challenging for Watchalong to be knocked out there as well. Brilliant finish. Yeah, absolutely there, Atisha. So then, thank you for everyone tuning in. Feel free to be back for the match against of the Ponsonkom against Ronnie O'Sullivan. It will certainly be an interesting one for you to be watching, and then we'll have to wait and see if we are going to be seeing more and more of those top 16 players to be eliminated, or is Ronnie going to be the actual favourite for the title, finally to be won there by him, after he had pretty much something like a 20-month drought when it comes down to winning those titles. You're going to have to wait and see. He's going to have a massive match against the Ponsonkom, but for now, not a lot to say about Yize. Just simply not good enough, but brilliant there from David Gilbert at the same time. He's managed to make this look like a very easy job for him indeed, as he was able to take control of the match with a 3-0 lead, and unlike Zhao Xington, he was able to close it off there with 6 to win at the end. More than double the total points that he scored, but ultimately, absolute demolition job there. When it comes down to the eye test, thank you very much for everyone that has tuned in, and as I say, in 3 hours' time, feel free to be back for the Ponsonkom against Ronnie O'Sullivan, as we see the 7-time world champion potentially going for the 3rd title of the China Open. Thanks everyone again. Stay tuned in. Thanks for watching.